No, we get it off.
Okay. Okay.
So
here we go.
Specialist Alexa are back. Today we have our first castaway from Survivor Game Changers joining us. Very, very excited to have Troyzan on here from One World and Game Changers. Here he is. Troy, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thanks, Phil and Alexa. It's great to be here. I keep telling you guys that you're my favorites just because I saw, one of your podcasts. You guys were really being nice, pretty nice to everybody. And I'm like, and you guys just seem very well informed and like really knew your shit. So I'm like, you know what? I like these guys. I'm going to continue to listen and see what they have to say about my season. And I started to listen to more. I didn't listen to every single one, but it's like, I listened to you guys and I thought, if there's a podcast that I want to go on, and you guys seem like you always supported me in a sense, even though you probably really didn't see a lot of me. I'm like, I'm going to go on that podcast. I like those people. So here I am.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. We love to hear that. And one of the most interesting things, at least I know the last time when we were doing Millennials vs. Gen X, it was myself and Will who were doing the interviews, and we had Sunday Burquest on here, and it was one of our favorites. And she was an invisible edit on her season, but she had such a story to tell on the podcast. So we're really excited for this.
Okay. Well, so you compare me to Sunday now?
No.
We're out, man.
Yeah. You had one more.
I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, the moment that you hugged Jeff, I mean, we were already like super pumped about you being on the season. And then the moment you hugged Jeff, we were like, we got to talk to him. Like, we have a bet about this going on.
Well, why was that such a big deal to you guys to hug Jeff? I mean, I just think it's funny because I'm like, it's not that difficult. I mean, I fist bumped him in my first season. I gave him and he didn't know what to do. He kind of put his hands out, kind of like, what? It's like.
Go for the punch.
Well, that was on the This Is My Island episode where I screened it and they, basically, yell at the girls. But I gave him the fist pump and he kind of looked at me like, what's this guy doing? Okay, I guess I'll fist bump you. So I mean, why is it so? Why do you guys think that's so funny or such a big deal to hug Jeff?
So we do fantasy games for each season, and we do a prop bet game, which is pretty much you take every castaway and you put them for one thing. Like the winner of Survivor will be, Troyzan, the who will win an individual immunity, somebody. And we always have a bet on there of hug Jeff Probst. And the last time we did it, nobody hugged Jeff. So this time when you hugged him, that was something that we were going to take off of the prop bets. Oh. But you actually hugged him, and then Aubrey went and did it later.
Yeah, Aubrey did it. She did. I mean, if I did what Aubrey did, he probably would have looked at me like, "Hey, bro, hang on." He gave me like a half. I mean, I probably stink a lot more than Aubrey. That shirt was pretty trash. So it's like
Aubrey was on a one-track mind there. She had one goal in mind, and that was just attacking Jeff.
Oh my God! Just darted at him. I mean, she like she's a lot smaller too, so he could jump up in his arms and grab you. I kind of tower over Jeff. I mean, I probably would have knocked him over if I would have done what Aubrey did. He would have been down in the sand.
That would have been amazing. All right, so you already brought up This Is My Island. So this is something I wanted to just ask right off the bat here. You come out with This Is My Island in One World, and then it takes a little bit for you to actually get back on the show. Were you hoping that this season you would kind of become known for something other than This Is My Island, or do you love the This Is My Island thing?
Well, the This Is My Island, it got me back on the show in a sense, because what happens is most people only remember Survivors. I mean, you guys are like, big fans. You probably know a lot more than the average schmo. But most people only remember us, doing one or two things, or they remember us as a certain person, So people remember really just that, like, oh yeah, you're Troyzan, aren't you the guy that yelled "This Is My Island" and told the girls, don't F with me and da da da. It's like you went kind of crazy. I said, yeah, okay, that's me, but that's all they remember. So, but that was fine, I think, for the producers, and like casting. They saw something in me where it's like they just know how excited I get, and I mean, like every time I would talk to them, I really get fired up, and I'm like full of energy, and it's like it's a huge deal for me. I don't know if that got me back on, but it was one because I was thrown off by the name Game Changers for one. Anyway, when when we first heard it, when we get casted, we don't hear the name of the we don't hear the name of the season. They just call us up, you know, whenever you know, January, February, March, and say, hey, you know, you're on the list. You want to play again. And that's what happened to me actually right after One World. We filmed in One World in August and half of September. And in the middle of October, I got a call from casting. Hey, you know, we really loved you on the show, even though it hasn't aired yet. You know, we think it's going to be great for you, blah, blah, blah. Do you want to play again? I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? Of course, yeah, I'll play. Yeah, what do you want me? When? And they're like, well, you got to go through a process. And it's just kind of like, you know, in the air right now. And they just kind of kept me going. And then my season started, and I'm like, you know, I would get random calls from different Survivor, past contestants, and I'm kind of like thinking, are they, you know? And this is where I really wasn't in the loop of like how a returning season works. I hadn't heard that much, but Cochran was calling me a lot, and I thought he was just calling me just to be a nice guy. I'm like, oh, Cochran, this is great. Little did I know he's like trying to put in the little like moods, because it was fans versus favorites. The next one up, or 26. What was it? 26? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't make that. They called me like maybe a month away from like the finale, or maybe even less, because I was basically going to have to go from my finale straight out to the island, you know. So that didn't work. And then I think a year later, I got called for Blood versus Water, and I was a week away from going to that one. Really, I was like with my brother Todd, who came out for the loved ones this time. We had sent our clothes, we had got our shots, we had gone through the finals process, all the interviews, everything. I said, dude, we sent our clothes. I say, that's pretty much the last thing that you do. We're in. And it's like a week out, 6 days or something. And I got a call with 6 days, and he said, oh man, there's been a change, and you know, you didn't make it. And kind of like, do you want to be an alternate? If you want to be an alternate. And I was pissed. I was like, this is the third time I said, fuck that. I'm not an alternate. Oh, are you kidding me? Like,
Number one.
I think what had happened was that first of all, they had Monica picked for sure with Brad. They had
Cat with Hayden.
Well, no, they didn't have Cat with Hayden picked.
Oh, really?
Right. They had Colton picked for sure. Yeah. And then at the last, kind of towards the end, they picked Cat. And that was like, you know, they said that we're not going to put 4 people from the same season on it. It's not fair to you, and then it's not fair to kind of like the rest of the, you know. So I'm like, God dang it. So I'm like, you know, and then second chances happen. I'm in the audience, you know, and then I get on the losers bus. I'm like, oh my God. So they called me for this about the same time they always call, around January. And I get the call from casting, and she's like, hey, first of all, we want to know, you know, are you pissed off at us? You know, do you even want to play? I'm like, no, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I get mad for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, I'm right back in it. And they said, well, we got another scenario. It's going to be all returners, and it's not a vote. I'm like, okay. I said, that's good. Although I have my own opinions about that whole thing, which I get in trouble for. From other Survivor fans.
We don't want you to get in trouble here.
Well, no, I don't get in trouble from production or anything. I get in trouble from like fans who think like, you know, my opinion's like not valid or something.
Yeah, how dare you have an opinion?
Yeah, right. You know. It's called an opinion, people. It's not fact. So I got the call, and they said, you know, no vote, this and that, but you got to go through the finals process. It's the same thing, you know, and the process is long. You know, when they call you in January, they just string you along all the way. You don't know you're on until, God, it's like right up to the last, like maybe month before you go out. So, you know, you got to go out to LA. You got to take a bunch of psychological tests again, and just go through the same thing that I'd gone through for like 3 times before. I'm like, oh my God, this can't be like, don't dangle the carrot in front of my face again, and you know, have me not go. I mean, this has got to be it. And they did say to me, they said, you're one of the producers, really your favorites. You're like the top guy on their list as far as the producers and Jeff. And so I'm like, well, that's a good thing, you know. And they've always liked me because I think I've always cooperated with them as far as like being out there, and I've never complained a lot. A lot of people complain, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that you guys don't see, like Survivors. There's some that like are huge complainers and bitchers and whiners and moaners, and I'm like, bro or woman, it's like you're on Survivor. You're not supposed to be in an air-conditioned tent right now waiting for tribal council. It's like it's tough, you know. We got to do crazy crap that we don't like to do. But I'm always kind of like it's Survivor, you know, like just deal. So I finally got called, went through the process, and they said, you know, they gave me a call and said you're in, and I was just like ecstatic. I'm like, oh my god, okay, this is fantastic. And then, but I still didn't know what it was. And then we, you know, all of us survivors kind of know each other or know of each other here. And it's like a small world, even though there's like 400 and something of us. It's like everyone kind of knows everybody. Or if I wanted to get a phone number from somebody, I can call somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So it's one of those things where like you start to hear who is on, who made it. Because some people, you know, we see like 5 or 6, 7 people at this finals thing in LA. So, you know, when we're taking tests, whether they're going to make it or not, you know, like I had in my group, I had like Cirie was in my group. And I'm like, oh, she's in that. Cirie's going to play for sure. And then I saw, who's the dude from Wrong? President Obama guy. No.
Oh, Peter.
Peter. He was in a room with me. Sophie, who'd won season 23, she was there. So, you know, you start seeing people and you're thinking like, are they playing or not? Then you start to hear like, okay, this person made it, this one didn't, you know, it's like, so you start to, I start to rewatch some of the seasons where I know there's a for sure. When I knew Cirie was on, I went back and rewatched all the seasons that she was on. When I knew that Tony made it and had an idea that Sarah made it, I went back and watched their seasons. So I just start doing like little, you know, like just homework in a sense, thinking like, if they're smart, are they going to play the same way or are they going to change? Because if they play the same way, you know, it's not going to work for them. It's just, you know what?
And this is something I want to ask you about. So you end up on a tribe with Tony to start off, and I know you're a huge fan. What was that like in those first like 6 days, and how does Cirie go home before Tony?
well, with Tony, it's funny because I am a big fan, but I want to first say how I'm a fan. I'm a big fan watching it, and I've always enjoyed watching the show and being around it. But I'm not really a fan where before I made it, I didn't know about websites. I didn't go on websites. I don't know, like, you know, if you say season 3, you know, challenge number 2, you know, someone can name that. I'm like, I don't know that. I'm like, you know, I watch it like I watch football. I love watching the NFL or NBA or whatever. And I'm a fan like that, but I know every single player and where they went to college and what they do? No, I don't. So, but, you know, Tony to me was like, oh, that's a big deal. And when I saw him in casting, I saw him coming out of the doctor's office. I'm like, oh my God, it's Tony. It's crazy. And then it's like, I'm like, he's a lot shorter than I thought. But he looks kind of big on, you know, on TV. It's funny how you size people up and then you see them for real. They're different than what they look. Like I thought Malcolm was going to be shorter than what he was. He's like my height. And so I see Tony on day 1. But the thing about Tony was he made the critical mistake of trying to be a joker and coming across like he wanted to be the jovial, funny jokester guy, not this like crazy Tony conniving guy. But he yells on, seriously, it was within the first 5 minutes of reaching our camp that he goes, I'm going to look for an island, goes running off into the woods. And we're just like, all of us were kind of like dumbfounded, like, what the hell's he, why would you do that? Like, even as a joke, why would you do that? Because in Survivor, there are jokes, but that's not a joke. I mean, maybe if I would have done it or somebody like, but if Tony does it, I'm like, well, everyone's going, what the hell? So I'm like, okay, this guy, he's playing hard. He's going hard right from the start. That's like making me super nervous because I hadn't even spoken one word to him yet. So it was one of those things where, like, if Tony wanted to play with me, I'd probably be more than willing to listen and hear what I was willing to listen to anybody, what they wanted to say or do. And so it's like one of those things, like if Tony would have came up to me and said, hey, bro, you know, I have this idea, I would have totally listened to him. But then the second thing which threw me off was that, you know, I catch him digging around the well and You saw the scene. I mean, I walk around the corner. I'm just nonchalant going up to get water. I'm not thinking anything. And I look over, and here's Tony, and he's got fucking sand and leaves and shit all over his. And I'm like, wow, this guy. And I didn't want to confront him and going like, bro, you're looking for an idol, but I mean, I caught you. But I was kind of like, I want to see his reaction because he had stuff all over, and I'm looking over to the side, and I'm seeing where he's digging. It's pretty obvious. I didn't know he was digging a bunker. I thought he's looking for an idol, you know. I was like, I had no idea. And so I just kind of looked at him, and he gave me the, hey, bro, so what do you think? I'm like, oh, man, I can read this guy. It's like he's lying right in my face. I'm like, okay, well, that's the second strike because if he would have just said straight up, hey, bro, you caught me. I'm looking for an idol because I know I got a target on my back. You know, if he would have said, I'm target number one, I need help, I'm looking for a group or I probably would have listened. But since he didn't say anything to me, I wasn't going to say anything to him. And so that was, and because he didn't say anything to me about making any kind of alliance or getting my thoughts about really any strategic moves, I'm like, I'm not in his plan. So that was like a second kind of like, okay. That's when I started talking more to Sandra because I'm realizing that these two are going to be on opposite sides. So I instantly talked to Sandra, to Varner, made a good connection with Michaela and Haley. Actually, Michaela and Haley were the first two girls I spoke with and actually made, somewhat of an alliance with, like, day one. Like you kind of, when you get there, you can't wait 5 minutes. You better start talking to somebody on minute number one. Otherwise you're out of the loop, and you got to talk to somebody quick and then go to the next person and cut it off. And you can't let everybody see, you talking, because people don't like that as well, especially on a return season. I just could tell that people were like eyeing people very, they were eyeing anybody that was having a conversation. So it was one of those where Cirie Easton was actually being seen talking to a lot of different people, and that just scares people. It makes people paranoid, and paranoia is the biggest thing out there. It's by far the paranoia is at its highest level. Yeah. So that's why, if you're paranoid, then you're like paranoid that person's talking about me. That's the first thing that people think, So that's why Cirie Easton went before Tony, just because, it was one of those where I think people just felt like she was talking to, she was playing both sides right off the bat, where Tony was just playing one side. He really was only talking to Caleb, and maybe a few others, he was talking to Aubrey. Aubrey and Caleb. So we're like, yeah, it's only two people. It's like, whatever, no big deal.
Well, that's what I've wondered, especially on a returning season. If you have to go out and start making friends 5 minutes in, is it just whoever's closest to me I'm going to be in alliance with? Is it based off their previous season? Like, how do you make that thought process?
It's based a little bit off the previous season. When we're on that ship on hour one, everyone's staring at everybody and looking around like, okay. But, it's even before that, it's done at the airport when you guys are, when everyone's flying out to Fiji. We're looking around like who's with who. We're all in the same line to get our tickets or to check in our bags. So people are looking at each other. And I looked at Michaela, and she started smiling at me a lot. And I'm like, who is this chick? I'm like, what season is she from? Like, what season is this? I'm like, I can't figure this. I'm like, I know I've watched every season. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. I said, this can't be some random person. This isn't like some girl from like season 4 that got voted out 4th, is it? Like, because I mean, she's smiling at me like she knows me. I'm like, well, I don't know. I think, who's this lady? I said, obviously, well, okay, I'll smile back. Like, we got a connection right in the line. So, and I didn't recognize Zeke. And then I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, oh, they got to be from like the last season, And so sometimes it's like it's just a look or a smile in the airport, and then obviously we're at Ponderosa. We're not allowed to talk to each other, but these are returners, so it's like what they say is allowed and not allowed. It's kind of like, you know, I mean, Brad Culpepper will talk straight out loud like he doesn't even, like, you know, he'll start talking, telling a joke like it's not like, I'm already on the show. What are you going to send me home? You're going to kick me off? It's like, you know, so,
Good point.
So you can see people start to like just make little gestures or whatever, and you kind of get a certain vibe from people in Ponderosa. But definitely on the ship, you start like, Ozzy looked at me and I kind of winked at him. It's like, hey man, if we were going to be on the same tribe, I would have been with Ozzy, just from that little wink alone, you know. Everybody pretty much knows somebody, one or two or three people that they've met before in a charity event or something. So like for someone to say they don't know anybody, it was ridiculous. Besides probably Zeke and Michaela, although Zeke, come to find out, he knew some people. He knew Andrea really well. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where it's like, but it's one of those things where you just want to feel comfortable in the beginning when you feel like you know somebody, you know. I had obviously met Brad through Monica, you know, in New York. I knew Brad, so it was one of those things where like, but just because you know somebody and met them, you think as well, like, we know each other, but we're both going for the same thing. So it's like, are you really going to be friends, buddies, whatever, to the very, very end? You know, like it's one of those things where sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not, because, you know, so yeah, going back to like, you know, when you think you know someone, when you want to make a move or whatever, it's like on the ship. But then when you're allowed to speak, Alexa, it was like, for me, it was, yeah, basically the first person that was closest to me. And I shook Cirie Easton's hand instantly because I wanted to be with her, not against her. Because I'm like, this girl, if she's against you, she's against you hard. So I made sure that I shook her hand. There's even like a photograph of me like grabbing her hands. I'm like looking at her like, you can, you know, and I trusted her. I think she trusted me. I mean, I come across as a very trustworthy guy in general, just by my normal conversations. That's not even strategic conversations. It's just conversations about whatever. And I think because of the way I speak and what I talk about, people like, he seems like an all right, trustworthy guy. He's just, you know, and I played the old guy card for sure. Like the guy that's like, just, I'm here, I'm hanging out, I don't know what's going on, you tell me what to do. And like, I played that card all the time. I mean, I played that card, and I even came across that way, which to me was good, because that's what I wanted. I didn't want people to think that I was being strategic or that I knew anything. I wanted them to think that I didn't. But, you know, it worked to a certain point, but then it was like, I guess people really want to know if you're super strategic in Survivor. And I feel like everything that came out of my mouth was a conscious effort to be like, I'm the laid back crazy uncle here. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about me. I'm just doing crazy shit out here. And in the meantime, I would make little suggestions that somebody else would come up with, or their idea, you know. So I really was playing from the middle and from the, you know, I think it's like, in a sense, from the middle or like leading from the bottom. You can do that in this show. I mean, it's possible to do that with your conversations, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's difficult for me because nobody really got to see those conversations and see the way I spoke to people, which is in itself a strategic move, but it's a move every single day. It's something that I did every day. So it's not like just one thing that I did. It's like it was a constant conscious effort to be like, I'm not a threat to you. I'm not, you know, you can trust me. And I feel like everybody did. And if you spoke with everybody on the cast, I bet you they'd all say, yeah. If you said, did you trust Troyzan? They would all say yes. Or is he a trustable guy? Or is he a likable person? They'd all say yes. They all would.
That's interesting. And I've seen that in a lot of the exit interviews. And that's why throughout the season, I was confused by the edit, because everybody in the exit interviews seemed to like you a lot. And we're not seeing much of you. And I'm like, he's got an idol. Either he's going to blow this idol, or if he gets the final 3, how is he not getting any votes or anything? And were you just not able to explain your game at the final 3 because at that point you'd been kind of written off?
Well, at the thing is that with the final 3, they threw in the new format, which didn't help an old school game like mine. And I made a conscious decision. Like, what am I going to do? This is a returning season. It's only the 4th time they've done it. Heroes versus villain. I kind of look back at seasons and I'm like, the nicer person kind of won, in a sense, or the person I guess that was most likable, and the people that like really were hated were like, you're an asshole. I'm not going to give you the money. I don't care how good you played, So I just made a conscious effort to be like, you know what? I'm going to play the old school game. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, it's the game I chose, But in that format at Final Tribal, it was kind of like I didn't get a question for the first 25 minutes, and I was like, oh man, okay, this isn't going to work. It's like it's one of those things where like you want to butt in, but then you also have to watch it. Like if you don't want to. You're very careful with your words at Final Tribal, and you're careful of how you say it to people, and you don't want to come across as being mean or gruff or jerky, and dig yourself a deeper hole. So I kept waiting, and it really just came down to, I think what happened this time was like I didn't know it's one of those things when you're playing, you don't know really what the jury's thinking. You can only go off of the reactions when they're walking into Tribal. And when they were walking into Tribal every time, they were looking at Sarah like, I hate your guts. Like they were giving her the scowls, flipping her off. Like, I'm like, okay, this is fantastic. They're not going to give her shit. They hate her. Like they're really taking it to like heart, like, because I'm thinking like how many of these people are playing just a game and how many are playing kind of a game. And it's a little bit going to hurt me because, some people can play just a game, but I think a lot of us can play. Some of it is not a game, and that's where people get stuck. And it's like they'll be like, you really, lied to me about something personal, and it's like, is that part of your game? Like, so people take it, weird. So I was banking on like, okay, and I was also banking like, say, Brad, he's a millionaire 10 times over. I'd be like, he doesn't need the money. Don't give him the money. Like he doesn't need it. I didn't know Brad was going to win 5 immunities in a row. For me, it was good to have Brad there because he was always way bigger target than me. And I thought, okay, for the first couple of wins, that's fine. But then when he started to win more, I'm like, yeah, this isn't looking as good because, I'm thinking, if I would have I thought to myself, if I could maybe win the last one, it might be, a plus. But I just don't think people really appreciated that I played way under the radar, that I played more just of the social game where it's like, you play middle ground in a sense. I mean, I made like a lot of moves that were just like, in a sense, not like, I mean, like when, like for me, it's like finding the idol and then finally playing it. I found it so long ago in their minds. It was like kind of like, not that big of a deal,
Mm-hmm. Did
and it
people
wasn't
know
like
you
a
had that?
No, they didn't. And it wasn't like in their minds, it wasn't like a game changing move, although it's game changing to get an idol the way I got it, to grab it like in the middle, not in the middle of a challenge like they've done before, like at the very end on the immunity on the table that was actually done, like they're all sitting staring at you, so I felt like the jury had their minds made up anyway before they went in there. If I asked them, like, listen, right now, be honest with me. If you wrote in your diary, did you have the person picked before they even went in there? They'd all say, yeah, we didn't even have to ask a question. And then once, someone can stand up and actually say in so many words, I'm voting for Sarah. Like Zeke stood up. He might as well just say, she's got my vote and I don't even care what you say. Because that's the case. Same with Ozzy when he says, I'm voting, I'm championing Brad. So it's one of those things where like, people stood up and I was kind of like, what else can I do? It just got to the point where kind of like, if you're not going to really, if you're just looking for, I realized at that point, they were just looking for somebody that really was a new school, made the most moves and got away with the most and backstabbed the most and, you know, swore on their child's lives and did all the, you know, the stuff that Sarah did. You know, it was just pure game, you know. And they all get a talk in Ponderosa too. So, but to me, the right person won as well. I mean, if you're going to look at just pure gameplay, you know, I think Sarah 100% deserves it, you know, although I played an old school way, and maybe if I played this season 10 years ago, I'd be, you know, the way that I played has won Survivor seasons before. So it wasn't like it was just far-fetched what I was doing. It's just where it's like you end up with 0 votes and people are like, well, you really fucked up. We didn't see him. What's he doing? You know, da-da-da, you know. So it's like, you know, you can only explain yourself so many times. I mean, I don't have control of like the editor. I don't know what I don't have control of what they're going to say or show or do anything. So it's like, you know, I got to the 39th day on an all returning season where 17 other people wanted to sit where I sat. And, you know, I ask myself sometimes, like, what would be better for people to judge the way I played? If I finish 4th, where I don't have a chance to have anybody vote for me, or you don't see that, or I finish 3rd and get 0 votes. I don't know what's better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's interesting. You put yourself in a position at least to get there, and you obviously did something right. And I find it interesting, like you said, you're playing Survivor Africa, where Ethan wins. Right. That's a season he played very similar to what you did. He made friends with everybody, right, aligned with a good alliance, and then ends up sitting there at the final 2 and ends up pulling it out. It's nowadays, Michelle, I think, is really the only one who played that more old school type game and actually pulled it off.
Yeah.
A lot of the new winners have to make the huge moves.
I think that's why they changed the format too, so that like people had a chance to, like, not just one by one, where someone would ask a question, then someone would hear, well, let me chime in on that. And let me drill you on this, you know. So it's like one of those, that new format didn't help my game. It definitely helped Sarah's 100%, you know, and Brad's as well. Like, maybe I would have been better at a final 2. Like, you know, Brad and I sitting there, it might have been like, you know, hey, he's got so much money, don't deal with him, and he's pissed off a bunch of people, and he's da-da-da. You know, he went aggro on Ty, and then he got a little fired up around camp, you know, with a lot of people. So it's one of those where, you know, anymore, maybe Survivor's changing where people don't really get so, you know, butthurt, where it's like, you know, you really stabbed me in the back. That was fantastic. Because, you know, Zeke really hammered that home, like, a lot, like more than you saw. You know, he's definitely the new school millennial type player where it's only a game, where, you know, if you go back to seasons like 1 through like 15, 16, you know, it's an old school way. And there was something to say about, like, how mean were you, you know? Like, if you were just a complete jerk, no one cared if you played the great game or not. Like, you're a jerk, like Russell. Russell would probably win now, but, like, people didn't like what he did so much that it's like your character, you know, lost you the show, you know, the season, you know, where I was hoping that my character would, you know, at this point I would have liked to get 1 vote.
Yeah,
I thought I might get tied. I thought I might get tied vote because, you know, like, I thought, well, maybe tie, because we connected really well, like, the last couple weeks, and they didn't show a lot of that either. There's so much stuff that we do out there, like, just little things. And, like, for me, like, my final tribal, like, speech, it really wasn't even a plea anymore. At that point, I had known, like, these guys got their minds made up, and it's really between Brad and Sarah. And I just wanted to say, and I really meant it, I kind of threw, like, in a sense, this, like, final speech out the window and said, let me just speak from my heart. Let me just hold on. I said, Jeff, let's just cut the BS. I just want to talk to these people like normal people. This is Troy talking to, you know, people that have, like, been in my adventure for 39 days. And I said, without each and every one of you, I would have never had this experience. I mean, I needed every one of you because I spoke with all of you, and I had all personal relationships with all of you and did certain things that had nothing to do with Survivor. And I went one by one, and this is the part, I mean, my speech went for like 10 minutes. And I went one by one. I said, Ty, I said, remember this? I said, you know, I'll never forget that when we were out there trying to catch this eel, and you stuck your hand in the hole, and I was trying to grab it, and you're getting bit, and blood's flying all over his hand, and he's yelling at me, and we finally pull it out after like a half an hour, and he's like, get the rock, get the bigger rock, you gotta kill it. And he starts going crazy, like he turns from sweet Thai to like Viet Cong, that's another one, and I'm like, holy shit, and I'm smashing it on the rock, and then he starts to cry and starts to go, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, and I'm hugging him tight. It's okay, buddy. He's only like this high on me, right? And he's hugging me and he's crying, and then he grabs me and he's like, and he kisses me on the cheek. And then so I told that story, and then others with Ty. Then I went to Aubrey and told her that, the crazy stories we talked about, UFOs and which weird shit. And then with Cirie, every morning, she'd wake up and I'd give her the deuces sign, deuces from the hood, whatever, And then like with Andrea, it was like everything was always like kind of like, what are we doing today? And like, how long we got to wait? And it's kind of like, I always give her this whatever sign, like whatever. And so I went to each person and told a funny story about my experience with them. And at the very end, that's why I said, listen, I got nothing else to say. It's like, you guys have made my second time around fantastic. If I would have guessed 17 years ago that I would even be playing this game, for one, I'd say you're crazy. And to be playing it twice on kind of an all-star, all-returner season, I would have said never in a million years. So I just said thank you, and that's why I said I'm out. And they actually stood up and they applauded it. And it's like they showed a little bit of that. So it's like, for me, it's like, at the end, I felt so good about that. That's like, not to win, but make it to the 39th day and know that I played twice. Being the fan I am, and it took me 11 years to get on my first season. I'm like, you know what? Come on. It's like, if that's all I ever get, there's so many people out there that, like you two, you guys probably would want to play Survivor in a second. You're dying to play. So it's one of those things where it's like, if you get a chance to play twice, because I'm just like you, dude. I mean, was the guy sitting in his computer. I mean, like, I'm just the regular guy that, like, wanted to play super bad. And I know how, and that's one thing when I do connect with the fans. I know how bad some people want to play, because I've been there. I know what it's like, and I know what it's like to wait and to, like, put in your video tape every year and try to do, what do I got to do, and how long, and I hope it stays on the air so I can get on, so that's why if that's what I have to basically end with, like, if I don't play again, I'll be like, you know what, I'm content with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And I wish it's one of those things where if you actually probably end up, if you did pull some votes, they probably would have shown you actually going person to person. And that's one of those things back in the early days that probably would have won it for you, because that's right. What people wanted. They wanted to know, what did you know? Do you know my daughter's name? Do you know this? Do you know this about me? And that's the type of stuff that would have won you the game back then, and just doesn't work.
Well, that's what I like about you and Alexa when you talk about the show, that you kind of like know there's more to what you're seeing, and you kind of actually speak about that. And sometimes I would listen to you guys, I'm like, how do they even kind of know? Like, you would say certain things, like stuff that's like going to come up, and like, I know you don't do spoilers, but you wouldn't even if you knew a spoiler, you wouldn't know what's going to actually happen, because most spoilers are like, they know who's going home the next week, or they know who won, but they don't know like exact details. And you guys would say stuff like, how the hell, he's got a really good insight. How does Phil know that shit? Like, how does he know, and then, and it is true. You're like, if I would have actually say I would have had enough votes to win, you would have seen all the stuff that I said to everybody. You would have seen probably the scene with Ty. You would have seen me doing the little things around camp, that were like my social game. They would have shown that, because it would have been pertinent to, like, me and getting to the 39th day and actually getting, or if I would have even got second, you probably would have seen more. But, getting no votes, maybe I'm sure the editors decided, like, listen, okay, hey, we got to show more of Sarah. We got to show more of Sarah, and we've got that with my, like that.
Is that Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, that's pretty good, dude. Wow, name that tune in like five notes. Bill gets a Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, this podcast brought to you by Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
actually, that's Aubrey texting me. She's like, she did her first podcast, which has nothing to do with Survivor, so you guys don't have to worry.
Well, we saw that. It's hilarious.
It sounds awesome.
She's funny as hell, and I think it's going to be a fun podcast for her, because it's not really about Survivor. And I don't think she wants it to be about Survivor. She just wants to interview people that are kind of goofy and odd and have odd stories or crazy stuff. So I was her first guest.
Mhm.
And
That's awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
she maybe she's watching. I don't know. I think Sarah said she was going to watch today. So I don't know if she's chimed in or she's watching or not. So
Well, hi, Sarah.
I probably got to be careful if they say
You got to say good things about her and Aubrey.
Well, no, I have always good things to say, but I could probably say some really secret stuff.
Okay, well, we got to get into that stuff, man. That's what we're here for. Well, I want to go all the way back, and you said that you went to Michaela and Haley first.
Right.
And I want to know, why do you think, why were you drawn to them initially? Is it because they were more unknown or less threatening than a Sandra and a Tony and everything? Or what was that?
Well, for me, it was that I wanted to change the perception of that I won't play with women, that I don't like women somehow from my season, that people, whatever, just because I screamed at 5 girls on one episode does not mean I don't like women. I mean, and I keep telling people, the majority of people that I work with are women. So, and I'm always around and I get along great with them. It's so I wanted to, and the thing is too, and I felt like I get along with younger people better than older people for whatever reason. I just like their energy, their spirit. And, my nieces and nephews, they all oh yeah, we love crazy Uncle Troyzan. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going up to Haley. I had met, I don't know, 4 or 5 people from Worlds Apart, the old Dirty 30s. And so I'm like, I'm going to just use that. And she seems cool. She seemed kind of like this laid back surfer kind of girl in her season. I didn't see a lot, but also smart, so I'm like, and I get along with that kind of person. She's very kind of, even though she's a lawyer, she's laid back in a way where, I'm going to connect with her. She was the first person I actually had a talk with, and it was short. I said, I can't remember what I said, but it was something about, the Dirty 30, and you come across as a person that would, could connect with. And I said, I just go off a feeling. And I'm pretty honest about what I say. I'll be like, listen, it's just a feeling I get. And, and she seemed like, I just didn't want to get on I looked around, it's there was Caleb, Tony, Malcolm. I had already known Jeff from Second Chances in a sense. I met him at a charity event after that. So it's I knew him, but so I wasn't really that worried. And I just thought I need to connect with the women first, because I want to be, it's funny how it works out. I don't know why it does, but a lot of times it ends up, and maybe it's on these kind of seasons where men kind of clump together and women kind of clump together, even though they don't want to. And I don't know if that's just a societal thing. I don't know if it goes back to caveman days where all the cavemen just, and the cave guys go together and the cave women sit over there. It's like one of those things where it's it always seems like, and girls want to have the girl power, and get together, and it happens a lot. So I wanted to be, if there was going to be the one guy that the girls are going to be with, I was going to be that guy, even knowing that I'm thinking there's going to be some switch up or something. This tribe isn't going to last forever, but I need to make my initial, contacts. And that was Haley. And like I said, I just went off Michaela's smile. That was it, and because she wasn't smiling at anybody else. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go, I'll go off of that. And she said, and she kind of cracked me up. She goes, "Is your name really Troyzan?"
It's a valid question.
Well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's kind of funny because I haven't had that name. That name didn't actually start until, I was only called that maybe a couple years before my first season. I haven't been called Troyzan my whole life or anything. And I didn't name myself as some fans think that I did. I didn't name, say I want to be called Troyzan. It's give me a break. I'm not that much of a tool. so
not that much.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, it's give me a break. I mean, I don't call myself Beast Mode Cowboy. So
Ooh, there we go.
Finally, shots fired at someone.
Let's start some drama. I like it.
This is what we want.
Well, I mean, I can't. I don't wear a belt buckle that says Troyzan. So
well, I don't know.
I can't do it.
I don't know when your birthday is, but the Phil and Alexa birthday gift for you is going to be like a huge belt buckle that says Troyzan.
Oh my God, really? Okay, birthday's coming up, man. July 30th, baby.
Oh, that is coming up. Gonna have to call my belt guy.
No, you'll never see me wearing that, man. Sorry, I'll stick it up on the wall back there. Well, that's my torch, my original torch from
oh yeah.
Is that an idol hanging off of it too?
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me unplug.
Okay.
Oh man.
There you go.
Can you guys see this thing?
Yeah, we can see it.
I'm like 1,000 miles away from you, but that's the closest I've ever been to a torch. This is pretty cool.
So this is the one I bought this on eBay. Hold on, let me show that. See, it's really a good one because it's got like skulls on it and shit.
Oh my God.
I mean, the ones we got this year suck. They're like tin cans and like some old lanterns. This thing is like carved. Plus I know this is mine because I carved my name in it. Can you see my name right there? Right.
Yes. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I carved my name, and then this is a hidden immunity on it. But how did I get off track? What the hell?
Yeah. How do you differentiate the torches? Because you always see people like, oh yeah, right before you walk off the tribal,
you just randomly grab whatever, you know. but at the very end, you saw even in this season, I carved my name in the torch because I thought like, well, maybe I want to buy my torch on eBay this time. But it's like that one's so much better. It's like it's got skulls, it's got like feathers hanging off of it. It's like it's way more tribal. I don't know. I mean, the theme was cool this year with the boats and the nautical whatever. I mean, the tribal council was cool, but I'm more of like I want the tribal stuff. You know, like it seems more Survivor like island like. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got off track there. I don't know where I was like, you know, sometimes I'll be like a tree. I'll branch off, then I'll branch off, and I'll be like, you guys got to pull me back down. Like, hold on. Remember we asked you that question like 15 minutes ago? You never answered.
No, that's totally fine. And then with Haley and Michaela, the other thing I wanted to ask, Haley seems like a super likable girl.
Right.
And it always seems like, though, on this show, she can never bond with like more than one or two people. And I'm also curious with Michaela how she was working and how'd you interact with them moving forward? Because it just seemed like they were like islands out there. They were on their own, and Haley's boot made no sense to us. So could you shed light on that, maybe a little?
Well, yeah. Well, Haley's boot didn't make sense to me, but
I'm glad it made sense to no one else either.
Well, the thing was when you're approached, you know, and I mean, I had already like, you know, had my ideas of who I was going to talk to at the merge and who I wanted to get with. And it's kind of like, you know, the six of us kind of came together like fairly quickly. It was like me, Sarah, Brad, Ty, Debbie, and Cirie Don Thomas. And I'm like, you know what? It's like, I'm not going to really turn that down. I mean, if you're offered that in a sense, or you're in that group, why would you kind of go against it? That's six people, and it's only you only really need one more person, and you're in a majority, you know. And they wanted to vote out Haley, and I was kind of like, God, why? This is stupid. Like, I mean, like, but the thing is, you can only say that so much, because if you really argue your point, they're gonna look at you like, why is this guy arguing the point so much? Well, why don't you agree with it? You know, you have to sometimes let your kind of like own ideas, you have to put them aside, because if you push the point, then people start to question like why everything that comes out of your mouth out there is like, you know, it better be the right answer, otherwise people are going to question it. And if you start to get questioned by one or two people, then they're going to be like, oh, I don't know, is Troyzan really on board with this? So it's one of those where like you don't want her to go, but hey, if it's not me, if it's not my name,
yeah, don't make a scene about it.
Well, it's one of those things, you know, and it does, and that is in a sense a way to not play, but it's like it's very safe feeling. If it's not my name, hey, I really, you know, it really doesn't matter that much to me if it's who goes home. If It's not my name. If it's someone I'm really, really close to, and I feel like I got a pretty strong alliance with, then yeah, I'll be like, time out. Let's try to, finagle something else and have somebody else go home. But I was with her in the very beginning, but then we got broke up, and she was never with me again until the merge. So, I went to Tavua. I was by myself. And I got switched back to like Mana again, but she wasn't with us on that tribe. So I was like, by the time she came around, I'm like, she got new ideas. I don't know, and she didn't come up to me like fairly quickly. So it's one of those things where, all these factors come in where she didn't come to me real quick. Did she have other plans? She is super intelligent. And just by the way she speaks, you can tell that the way she is around camp. She's the hardest worker. She was the hardest worker in camp. That you didn't get to see. Hardest worker. She would she'd come in, 107 pounds, a huge pile of wood, dump it down, go back out. It's like we had this rainstorm one night, and there was this cave that was like off to to the side of the beach, but you had to climb up to it. It was like a good, I don't know, I'd say a good 1,000 feet high. Wow. To the cave, and she's up there climbing, scaling the side of this wall with rain, and you look over, and you see like this pink top, like 200 yards away, and we're like, oh my God, Haley's in the cave. I'm like, that chick is like, as far as, if there was just a show just about survival, I'd pick her in a minute.
Man.
It was only about survival. She is a hard worker. She's smart. She can make a shelter. She knows about cooking. I just think she was, I gave her the good remarks at my final tribal. And I also told her she had,
oh no.
I said, I said, you have the cutest butt of all survivors.
They were giving us some gratuitous butt shots, and she's got a cute butt. I'm going to say that.
Does. I would look at she'd walk by with the wood or whatever, and the camera guy would go, I look like a bro.
Well, like, is this a good segue now, Troy?
We gotta ask.
Okay.
Alexa's from Boston,
right?
I've been to Fenway Park before.
Yeah, I know it's in Boston. It's a completely different.
Very different situations.
Yes, a very different situation. It's not even about the same kind of wall.
Where did this come from? This was in every exit interview.
It's just every single one.
It's a complete I don't even know where to go. Oh my God.
We read the first.
I don't want to embarrass Alexa. I got a woman here, so it's like.
Oh no, please! I have a ball. This is.
This was Alexa's idea.
Have a ball. No pun intended.
No, that was a bad Freudian slip there. I read the first exit interview, and I was like, oh, that was kind of funny. Then someone else brought it up, and I was like, oh, wow, like 2 people mentioned this. And then every single one, it's like that you guys made a bet with them. It's just bring it up every time.
No, that's what's funny. There was no secret bet where Malcolm started this shit, I think.
But he didn't even use the euphemism. He just came straight out and said
I know, and I text him, and I go, bro, what are you joking? Like, are you crazy? Like, why would you say that? Okay, thanks. For one, but I mean, bro, it's like, and I joked. I said, why all of a sudden I got all these porno production companies calling me up, asking me like they want me to, they want to, give me a job, and he laughed.
Got some sponsorship opportunities.
So it started where, first of all, I had those green underwear picked out for second chances, right? And they're Under Armour. They're not even underwear. It's like they're compression shorts, and I thought, if I can get away with wearing compression shorts, these will be great. They'll be great to swim in for once because they're kind of a little bit thicker and they're compression. So they actually work with your muscles, and I'm thinking any advantage I can get out there will be great. So, and I didn't know they were so bright though, because like, when you have them here, and then, so they approved them and I sent them in, because we have to send our stuff early. And I think they liked them because they looked like tropical. They had some weird pattern. They like anything that's like, kind of a little bit crazy. If they would have been pink, In hindsight, I wish they were purple. I would rather have been the purple monster. So
The purple monster.
the green is it's the wrong color. It's like, for one, green. So it didn't even start out as monster. It was monsters, meaning referring to my underwear, saying
Multiple.
Oh, look
okay.
at no. Look at Troy's wearing the green monsters. Like he's like, referring to the underwear, not the not what's in the underwear. So it's like, it's like it started basically with Tony, and so I don't even know what this is, like day 2, and we're sitting around the fire, and it had been raining, and I don't care. I'll go nude out there. I wear my underwear. That's like I was Survivor, whatever. So, and I'll if my regular shorts are wet from being in the rain, I'll just walk around in my underwear. Or if they're wet, I'll take off that and just dry out everything. Ozzy stood there buck naked in front of the fire, because he was soaking wet, and he's like, okay, and but yeah, up there, you change in front of people. Nudity after a while is like whatever. So Tony's sitting there, and he's in front of me, and I'm standing behind him. We're trying to dry off in the fire. Well, he whips around. He's saying something. He whips around, and he's like, it's like right in his face. And he's like, Jesus Christ. He goes, what in the hell? He goes, get those green monsters away from me. Tony, bro, dude, you got to get those green monsters. What is up with that? He goes, what do you got going there? And he took his stick. He starts poking at me. And then they start laughing. So then it just became like, then Aubrey actually named them the green monsters. And Tony said something afterwards. So I think Aubrey's actually responsible. And then in Tavua, Sarah said something. She was like, we were sitting around, and she was, she goes, Troyzan. She goes, what do you got going? She goes, what do you got going in those green monsters? He goes, what is happening? I said, what do you guys, why is everyone so focused on this? He goes, well, Jesus Christ. It's like, and then even my brother, when he was rewatching, he goes, dude, there's like one shot where like, it's like a profile shot. He goes, I don't know what you packed down in there. He said, dude, I don't know. Maybe because they're compression, they kind of like enhance things or push things up like a push up. I don't know. It's like so it became a joke. It became a joke. Yeah, and then people see me shove the idol down in there, and like that was it, And then it just became like a joke, and it was like they became the green monsters. And then outside the game, it became the green. He has the green monster. And they wanted a hashtag. I was like, there's no way CBS is going to hashtag green monster in 1,000 years.
Oh, my God.
So, but the thing was, it was always kind of like the inside joke until Malcolm basically just point blank just says, like, wow, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it. But then it's like, then it became the joke. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, it's still a joke. It's still this like, I don't know. That's how it happened, I guess. It's like, I don't know.
Poor Gordon Holmes getting that thrown at him when Malcolm. That was the first one it was revealed to.
I know. He just
what?
He just like kind of like I don't even know how. Well, but if Malcolm, if Gordon Holmes wanted to take it out of the internet, he could have taken it out and just said, "Well, he didn't say anything about Troyzan." I don't know. So.
That was like our favorite side storyline, and every time an exit interview came out, I was like, how are they going to bring it up this time? Like, how are they going to incorporate this?
I think it's a lot of side, like, I think it's the ongoing side note. So, it hasn't gotten me any new dates, so I don't know. It's like, and then people are like, why is it green? Is it infected? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's like, fucking like an iguana, whatever, bro. It's like, that's why I joked. Like, I wish they would have been purple. At least it would have been better as a purple monster, right?
Oh my God.
Green.
The purple monster. Well, the first time I heard it, I texted Phil. I was like, why is it green? And
that's what I
was like, it feels like it's the shorts. I was like, okay, that makes so much more sense.
I'm like, people, come on, get real. Do you really think it's green? Part of me, I wanted to post something. I'm like, no, it's not green. It's just
want everyone to know.
Just plain brown, people. Just a normal guy here. Just tan Troyzan. I just, I no tan lines, but what do you want me to say?
Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Well,
I've been wanting to ask about that. I've been waiting for this for so long.
Yeah. So now I guess we could jump over to the other thing that you shoved in the front of your pants because we haven't talked about it much. But this idol at Tavua, so you go to Tavua, you get completely screwed. And I think this was your best moment of the season until the finale when you actually had your speech. But I thought this was your best moment of the season. And I was sitting there, and this is when I was like, wow, Troyzan might win this season. You had this really big episode where you find the idol and all of that. And we talked about it. We thought you found the idol in a really cool way where you're like dropping down like, oh, man, I'm so tired as you're taking the idol out and doing that.
Yeah, right.
What was going on with that tribe even and with that idol process and everything? Because we didn't see much of that Tavua tribe at all.
So, well, yeah, the reason you didn't because we just kept winning. So when you win, they don't show, they always show the losing tribe and what they're going to go through because they're going to go to tribal and then they're going to talk. So that, and I was kind of bummed. Because, in one way you're bummed, but in another way, when you win, you're safe. But they didn't show any kind of strategy happening. But, I realized when I got there, shit, man, if we lose, I am probably gone. This is a smart enough group where it's just sound strategy just to get rid of it. It's easy, blah, blah, blah. But I had been hearing little things about Cirie is dangerous and maybe it's easier for her to go home now. When I had that little talk with Sarah, it was she just kind of said, listen, it's between you and me. If I get caught talking to you, that conversation was more I don't know if you have to worry as much as you think you do. I had a talk with Ozzy at the well that you guys didn't see, and he was also kind of throwing out hints well, I got a plan, and I just for right now, it's I was one of these where I couldn't be seen having a conversation with more than one person. Otherwise, I looked too I was really going to get targeted. So I didn't want to come across as this guy who was just scrambling for his life and stirring up too much. I wanted to be if you guys are willing to vote somebody else out, I'm the easygoing guy. And so that's what I did. And, I had conversations even with Andrea a little bit more than what you saw, and she was kind of giving me I don't know, and so in my mind, I'm you know what? I'm not getting it. It's not getting a great feeling. And I felt I found an idol on my first season, and I got to go look when they're not looking, and whenever that was. That's why I said I got to go get some water. And the reason why, and I have to explain, when I finally found that bottle, I walked by it. I knew everyone was looking for idols before that up in the woods, and it was really pretty dense, kind of jungly on Tavua, real tall grass and stuff, and tons of palm trees, and they were looking. So it's funny when people look, and they'd all look together, it's some kind of team hunt. I'm it's not a team idol, so I don't understand this team thing. You're gonna find it, and then who's gonna keep it? I thought no one has gone to the beach, and I just went down there, and I'm you know what? I'm just gonna kind of start scrambling around, and I walked by, and I then looked back, and actually the sun hit the bottle. So it's just that, and so when something like that just kind of out of place or gleams or anything weird, it just threw me off. So I went back and oh my God, and I thought I had found the idol. That was an idol. And I pulled the note out and I looked, and 10 feet from me walking towards me here comes Andrea. I'm oh shit. I took the note, I took the bottle, shoved it in the sand, went like that and stood up, and I'm oh my God, she probably saw it. And she goes, hey, what's going on? How you doing? I said, all right. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if she looks down, she's going to see the sand's all fucked up. And she's going to, and she, first thing out of her mouth, she goes, what do you think? Should we go look for an idol? And I'm like, what? I'm thinking either she's just bullshitting with me right now, and she knows that there's an idol there, or she really wants to look for it. And I just said, I don't think that'd be a good idea. I'm kind of the bottom of the rung. I don't want to be caught doing something with you, and, looking for an idol would be weird, wouldn't it? She goes, yeah, you're right. Okay. So then I go back and I start digging in the sand, and I find the bottle. And but I went back 45 minutes later, and I couldn't find the note. I'm oh my God. And I'm looking, I'm digging. I'm I can't find the note. And I start freaking out oh, my life is gone. She came back and she told it. Her and Cirie or something. They're probably laughing at me right now. I'm telling the camera guys. I'm just this is fucking unbelievable. Why would they do that? They took the note, and I'm just oh my God. So I just kept, so I dug more and more, and then I finally did find it. Because I put it through, I guess I just didn't realize I had thrown it so far over to get it out of the way. But that's why you see me when I'm reading it, now I get so emotional. Like when I say I almost lost my life, I mean that. I almost lost this note. So that's why I was so teary-eyed, because I thought like I had an idol, and now it was out of my hands. So then I read it, and then I'm thinking, oh God, like this is just like where you're Jeremy in the middle of a challenge where it's kind of easy. Everyone's doing their own shit. They're not paying attention. You grab an idol, whatever. And I think even like Wentworth was like in the middle or towards the end, but it wasn't. It was behind everybody, right? It wasn't like
it was. They were doing something else.
Mine was in front of, and it was in the front. So I'm like, how am I going to get this? Everyone's staring at these tables. This is where the thing is, the puzzle's made on this table, and so I'm first of all going, if we don't win, this is going to be insanely difficult, because if we win, everyone will jump together and congratulate each other, and yeah, we won, and I'll be there. Then I'll break away. So thank God we actually did win, because I kind of did come up. They clumped together, and you see me break off and go through the high drama of the acting, like I was. Oh my God, this is just unbelievable. I'm so exhausted, and it's just so unbelievable that we won. I'm just gonna lay on this table. I'm thinking, I don't know how to go back. For one, because you have to squat down, because I can't just reach and get it. Because first of all, I thought it was on a lip. I didn't realize it was just going to be right there. I thought it would be in a lip, so that just in case anybody went behind there, wouldn't see it. It would actually be hidden, So I thought was going to go like this under a lip and pull it out like that. So I go over there, and that's why I squatted down. First, Cirie's staring at me, and I'm just doing this, and like if I look down, they're gonna be suspicious, because I think one of those things, like everything you do in Survivor, is you feel like it's suspicious. It's just the paranoia that's there. So, and it's probably not, but you're always paranoid. So then Andrea, who'd always been following me around, like she's always following everybody. I just feel like she's always on you. And she was staring and talking right at me. And I'm like, oh my God, please leave. Just like, I can't even look down. Like I'm going like this, looking at her like, okay, Andrea, yeah, everything. Unbelievable. Did we win one? It's unbelievable. We're going to be eating some crazy spices. Then like, just get the hell out of here. Just get the turn around. So then I'm reaching under for one. I'm looking at her, and then I'm like, oh my God, where is this thing? Then when she turned her head, I actually had a chance to look, and I looked. I was like, oh my God, it's right there. So then as soon as she really left, you'll see me like, and I didn't want to put it. I have side pockets because they're cargo shorts. I'm like, I don't want to put it in the cargo shorts. It's, they'll bulge out. So, I'd rather have a front bulge.
Yeah, and we already have a discussion about what.
They'd be like, I did make sure to wear the green monsters that day though, because they're super tight. I'm like, I'm gonna stuff it. I know I'm stuffing it down the shorts. So, and that's why I actually stood up too, because I looked down, because it's a full, like, it's an idol wrapped in like canvas, so it's fairly big. So I'm looked down after I stuffed in the shorts, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a big old bulge right there. Like, I'm trying to adjust it, right? That's why you see me sitting on this side. I'm kind of going like this. I'm going, oh my God. Some fan made some GIF. Oh my God, it's hilarious. And all it is, it's like, you see it, it's a picture of me on the side. I'm going like it.
Oh, I gotta see that.
I look like I'm jerking off. It's like, and then they flash up Haley's butt, and it's like it's a dream. It's like, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't even know where I can even find it, but it's like,
oh my God,
it shows me grabbing for the idol, going like this.
And Haley's butt's up in the corner.
Yeah. So it was really hard. It was just as hard as it looked, as far as like, and just as like nerve-wracking as it looked on TV, because it came down to where I knew I only had a few minutes. I mean, okay, if it would have come down to it and she would have just stayed there staring at me, I just would have grabbed it and said, I got an idol, and just, you know what I'm saying? Wasn't going to go home without it. I didn't care. I mean, I'd rather have nobody know. So, and this time I knew for sure I just wasn't going to tell the soul.
And nobody knew until you played it at the final 6.
Brad did.
Brad knew. Okay.
I've all like
I went up to a cave. They didn't show it. That we went up to that same cave that Haley went up to. People went up there quite a bit. It was like a cool cave. Like you could actually live in that thing. Stay away from the rain. And we went up there and I showed him. I actually had a fake idol too. There was a fake idol. They'd see if I would have actually got votes or actually would have got votes to win. They probably would have showed that fake idol how it got played, because Sandra made a fake idol better looking than the real idol. And we got split up, we knew we were going to get split. She goes, I don't want to have this. I don't want to be caught with it. And she goes, I said, I'll take it. I mean, shit, you don't want that. I'll take that damn idol. And so at some point I was going to take the real idol note and use it with the fake idol if I had to. But it's one of those things where, like, in hindsight, I kind of wish I would have had a chance to do that. It would have been like a cool gameplay and maybe been more like, wow, like that was a cool move, or that was, something that was good on your resume kind of thing. But I just never needed to. There's some things where I feel like because of my social game, I didn't need to do a lot of things. But in hindsight, to win, yeah, I did. But as far as like to get to the 39th day, there were just some things that I felt like I'm okay to do right now. And I would watch a move be made, whether it's a small move, a medium move, or a big move. And then that person would go home the next week. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, what's the point of making a move if I don't want to go home? I can't win. You can't win if you get to day 38. You win nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, you get something, but you don't get a chance to get $1 million. You have to get to the 39th day. So I rolled the dice,
Yeah. And do you almost wish that you could have, like, been in a worse situation so you could have played the idol first now? Like, do you wish that would have happened? Well, do you wish Tavua would have lost?
Oh, yeah. In when you rewatch the season and then you don't win, I mean, because we're all out there to win. No one is really there just to play anymore. Not like in my first season. I felt like some people are out there just to play and they're out there having, Camp One World or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, in the returning season, everyone's out there to win. And I think we all go through, anybody that doesn't win goes through this scenario of like, shit, if I would have done that, or if this would have happened, or shoulda, the coulda, the wouldas, that go through your head all the time. So yeah, if I would have had a chance to, maybe play that idol, play the fake idol, and make it look, or have it really affect the game. Yeah, I would have loved to do that. That would have been fantastic. Or, the thing about having it, and also I think back about having the idol as long as I did, you always feel a sense of security with that idol. So you play a little bit where you're the Golden State Warriors, you've won 3 games, and you're like, you only got one more to win. You don't, maybe those games you don't play, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like if you're desperate, maybe I would have probably made more, strategic plays, like with everybody, where or feel like, if you don't have an idol, you never feel safe. So you're kind of forced to do some more talking, or you're forced to do, something a little bit more crazy, or bullshit a little bit more to somebody, or make something up a little bit more than you would. So having that idol kind of was like, it kept me safe, and it kind of kept me like, playing maybe a little bit too safe. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although, I played it and I needed it. So when I played it, it was like, it could have come down, if I didn't play it, it would come down to me and Cirie, and I don't know if I would have gone home. I mean, I didn't want to take that chance. It just was like, I don't want to look. I have 100% chance of getting to number 5 if I play my idol, mm-hmm. And I have a who knows what percentage chance if I get to 5 and play it, I'll get to 4. But what if something crazy happens? And when those idols start coming out, I'm like, there's just no way I cannot play it. Plus, I kind of was like, and not at the time, but I thought, this is cool. I'm part of a tribal council that'll go down in history. And the jury freaked out when I said, Jeff, hold on, they just fucking lost it. They were, I could hear them. So part of me was thinking like, wow, they really like this because they're getting all fired up, and it's like applause almost. You're thinking maybe they like this, maybe they like me, maybe they like what I've just done, And I would play with the jury a little bit, like when there was questions being spoken to us, and this was like when there wasn't like a full jury yet, but I would look at them where, and I even say, if this is just a game, and it's only a game, and there's no feelings for it, they said, why are all those people mad over there right now? And they'd all go like, you're fucking right. And I said, why are they all pissed off right now? Why they shouldn't be mad. If it's like Monopoly, we just closed up the game and I took your hotel, no big deal, right? Or it's a card game, we're just all playing poker and I took your money and went to walk away, no big deal. I said, but this isn't like it's not like a normal game like that, because there's part of our lives that are happening while it's happening. So it's weird to separate. And so I said, if it's just a game, and I would play that a lot, like then I'd even say, and I could see their faces going, I agree with you, Troyzan. So part of me was thinking like, okay, I have a jury that, might like what I'm doing. In hindsight, I didn't, but you don't know when you're out there you have zero idea what they're thinking. So I feel like sometimes it's unfair for certain, Survivor writers or bloggers or these know-it-alls think that they know everything by just watching like 45 minutes, and they've been watching the season, and they get the disadvantage. I mean, we get disadvantage of not knowing what people are thinking. They get the advantage of like hearing every conversation that every survivor is having, and watching the show and knowing that Ty has 2 idols and knowing that Sarah has the advantage. We don't know that. We don't know how and so they're going, why isn't he doing this? And why aren't they thinking that? And why aren't they doing this? Fuck, bro. Like, we don't know what they're thinking. I don't know the conversation between Cirie and Sarah, what they're having. Just like they don't know my conversation between, from me and Ty, and you guys might not know it unless you see it. So I think sometimes it does get unfair for people to kind of like judge how we're playing or what we should be doing. And people would kind of get on like, why isn't Troy and Ty playing their idols? It's like they really should, and da-da-da. It's like one of those things like I don't know Ty has 2 idols, and no one knows I have an idol. So, and no one knows, and I don't know what other people are thinking. So it's one of those things where it's like, as a viewer, you have an advantage in a sense of like seeing all the conversations from the beginning of the game all the way through with everybody. So you get a different, does that make sense?
Yeah. No, 100%.
And that's what was so crazy about that tribal council. It seemed like none of you knew that you were all going to pull out all these different advantages and idols. And like one after another, it was bananas to watch it unfold.
I know. Well, I knew that Ty had 1 idol. The second idol I had glanced at or we had seen, but it looked so crappy that I'm like, that shit could be fake. I said, I don't know about that. I don't know about that second idol. And Brad was kind of like, I don't know. And I didn't know about Sarah's advantage. I don't think that I did. I mean, I'm going back to, did she actually tell me about it or not? But yeah, I didn't know that all those were going to get played. I wish that they weren't, because I would have saved mine and said, well, I'm going to guarantee myself to get to 4, because if I get to 5, I'm playing it. It's the only. I mean, I'll play it because I have to. I mean, it's the last time I can play it. So, but then when the last one, when Sarah, I'm looking there like, okay,
2 people can go home.
There's me and Cirie. I mean, part of me, if I would have looked back, I would have been like, you know what, Cirie, you're such a good player. I'm going to give you this idol. I give her like the fake idol.
That would have been heartless.
And be like, you know what? It's like, you're such a good player, and I got to give it to you. And then she go to play it. I go, you're not as good as me.
That would have been so.
I know, that's all in hindsight. You can't, while you're out there, you can't think. I mean, that would have been fun to do that, but
Oh man, that would have been, the internet would have lost its mind over that.
They would have hated you, Troyzan.
They would have hated you.
They probably hate me for even saying that. Like, I'm joking around people. It's a joke. Where it's in hindsight. I'm not laughing.
I'm a massive Cirie fan, but that is freaking hilarious.
Well, talking about Cirie, she's probably the fan favorite of this season. Going into the season, she probably has the biggest fan base, except for maybe Sandra and maybe Tony.
Right.
If Cirie gets to the end with that final 6 that we saw with anybody, does she win, or are we just so used to seeing Cirie play these great games where everybody likes her that we assume she would win, but that's not necessarily what would happen on the island?
Cirie, in my mind, and I'd say everybody that I spoke to, besides maybe Michaela, was never going to have Cirie get to the final 3. That was never going to happen. So, in a sense, as good as Cirie is, Cirie, in a sense, was treated like a person that's easy to bring with you to vote the same way that you'll vote, because I'm going to get rid of her at any time because she's never going to win a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thought. Like, I mean, her chances of winning an individual immunity was really super small. So the only thing is like, well, hell, if you're going to vote my way, Cirie, then hell, I'll take you to 6, 5, 4. Guess what? At 4, you're going home. It's just automatic. Yeah. So it wasn't as hard as, or as like, oh my God, how did she make it to 6? I mean, it's kind of like, if you know someone's not going to win a challenge and they're going to vote your way, why wouldn't you keep them around? You would, you know. But it's one of those things too where Cirie's a fan favorite, and they're going to show a lot more of Cirie speaking to people, strategizing. I mean, we all strategize just as much as Cirie strategizes. Everybody does. It's just you don't see it. So if you don't see it, then you don't believe it, or you don't think that it's actually happening. You think everyone's, you know, like they'd ask, people would say like, oh, I didn't see you this week. What are you doing? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just laying around the hammock eating coconuts, you know,
just chilling,
smoking on the fake cigar, just saying.
Nothing to see here.
That's it. Just hanging out in the green monsters, baby. Nothing to worry about here. So it's just one of those things, you know. And I can see it. You know, Cirie played 4 times. I mean, it's, you know, good for her, and it's good for CBS to have someone come back like that. You know, I mean, CBS is no way going to not show a lot of Cirie, just like they're not going to show a lot of, you know, Sandra, and they're not going to show a lot of even Tony in the beginning. And that's what, in a sense, probably makes it a little bit weird season to follow, at least for the real fan, the big fans. For the general TV audience that watches Survivor, they just kind of watch it like, they don't try to figure stuff out. They just watch it and they just follow wherever the editors want you to go, you know. And it actually, I'm surprised in one way, but I'm not. The Nielsen ratings for Survivor were pretty high this year. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, the final show for broadcast TV, which is like basically all the shows except for cable, from 18 to 49-year-olds, it was ranked 4th. That's big. Yeah.
No, but, and it wins every Wednesday night. The longevity of the show is insane. And you know, so I mean, it was always in the top 10. So I'm like, well, it can't be that shitty. Like, at least to the general viewing audience. I know, like, the super fans and the real people that like study Survivor, and they're like, yeah, it was okay. It was hard to follow, and I put it in the middle of the pack. Oh, okay, that's cool. I mean, everyone has their opinion, mm-hmm. which is fine. I appreciate it. You know, everyone can, you know, everyone has a different reason why they watch Survivor, or who they think is their, you know, fan favorite, or who's fun to watch, or who's bad, or who's good. And it's like anything. It's like watching a sport. You have your favorite players, and some people love them and some don't, you know. Some people love Tom Brady, some people hate him. You just made Alexa's day. She might love Tom Brady. That might be Alexa's crush. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, heck yeah! Oh, pandering to the jury. I like it.
Oh, jeez, that's Tom Brady, really? I've shot with Tom Brady before. I'll throw that out there.
There you go.
Oh man, that is cool. Oh man,
but he's fully taken, Alexa. That's like.
Yeah, I gotta get in line for that one.
Yeah, that's like, you gotta get in way. That's a super long line too. That line is. Where was I before we were going?
Well, I wanted to say, with this season, I think what some of the fans were more mad about, it's not the cast. It's the fact that Haley's boot was weird. We didn't see much of her. We didn't see much of Ozzy even. We didn't see much of you. We didn't see much of Aubrey. These are people who made it deep in the game,
Yeah, I agree.
And we didn't really get to know what was going on.
I think what happened was that, and I don't know if it was because the editor said, listen, our ratings are high. We're not going to fuck with this. We're just going to show each episode like it's on its own. Like you could just come in and you didn't need to see episode 1 or 2. If you watch episode 4, you're like, oh my God, this is a crazy show. Like I really like it. I guess I'll watch next week. So that's why they probably gained viewers. But the thing was, in a normal season, or even like Heroes versus Villains, I just feel like if you make it to the merge and then you make it far in the game, you're going to get shown a lot. At least you're going to have a story. At least the 4 or 5 or 6 are going to be part of the main story the whole way, and it makes sense. Mm-hmm. Where the people that don't make the merge really don't get much. It's like, well, okay, you didn't make the merge, you didn't play that great, or you got unlucky. So it's just sorry. It's the way Survivor goes, the way the Survivor gods happen, and you don't get really shown that much. It's just the way it happens, and it happens in seasons, with newbies all the time. Where like the people that don't make the merge really don't get shown that much. Mm-hmm. So and no one gets confused about it. And so like this season, it was like they had to show almost everybody each week, where they didn't have enough time to show. Like they didn't show really Sarah in the beginning of the season hardly at all. Like I remember talking to her on the phone. She'd be like, "God dang, what's going on?" I'm like, "Just relax, I'm like, "You're gonna win, so who gives a shit?" I'm like, you can show me this much. All if you're gonna hand me $1 million at the end, I'd be like, "Yeah, baby, I got it, baby. No problem. Smoking cigars in Costa Rica."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like they have to show. Cirie Easton is 3rd time playing. They're going to show a lot of her, and Tony in the first 2-hour episode. They're going to show a lot of them. I mean, basically focus on them. Where if it was a normal season, they might not focus so much on a 1st and 2nd boot. And then the same with like they're going to focus a little more on JT. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't make it. And Malcolm, as unlucky as that was, if it was a new season and Malcolm got voted out 4th, people would be like, sorry.
Yeah, who's that guy?
You wouldn't get him. Yeah, exactly. Who's that guy? Sometimes this game there is a lot of luck involved, and there is unluck as well. Like it's one of those things. There's no skill where you pick out a rock and you go to another team, or like what happened with Malcolm. There's no strategy in that. It's just pure unluck. It's lucky for Sierra Dawn Thomas and unlucky for Malcolm kind of thing. But it's also, I've learned, like at least playing my first time around, and I said to myself going in the second time, this is your second chance. This is where you can't leave anything undone. So first of all, don't put a target on your back. That's the last thing that you want, because if you get a target early, people are going to see it and be like, they'll be aware of it. I think that Ozzy on day 1 put a target on his back, and I think that was a stupid move. I do. I think it's much as if I played for the 4th time, I'm not jumping off the top deck and going getting the tools so I can show everybody how great I'm a swimmer and how great of a challenge guy I am. It's great for your team, but this has never been a team game ever. It's never about that. People always look towards the end, even though they're playing as a team and you want to win and it's good. When you hit the merge, guess what? Who are they looking at? Ozzy, because he was the guy who would finish the challenges and win. He's the guy who jumps off the top deck and puts a target on his back on day 1. Mm-hmm. Malcolm, in a sense, did that too by volunteering to be the last guy, like throwing the ring deal to toss thing. I'll do it because I'll win. I'll win for the team. That's great for your team, but I just think like you got to be a little more aware of like what people are thinking about you, in a sense. And it's like, if I went in like a Tony or a Malcolm or an Ozzy, I'd be looking for that idol on the second I hit the beach. Say I'm going to get coat, whatever, just to make sure that I always have that something in my pocket, just in case something crazy happens. Like with Malcolm, you can't predict that, but like at least you could, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. And there were some players who, like you said, Ozzy and Malcolm, who they get on the boat hour 1. They don't even have to do anything. and they're automatically targets. So
right,
you need to go grab that idol immediately.
That's one of those. That's one of those things where it's like, it's funny because when you're out there, so many things are going through your head, and you're strategizing so much about what's going to happen, and what like your brain just gets just fried. I mean, because in your daily normal life, you don't think about that many things happening so much. Even like sitting on that ship, I knew there's some clue or something in the my brain went instantly like there's going to be something in a bucket or there'll be something somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's some clue or something, or idol, something tied to something, who knows. I decided not to stay on the ship and look through the fruits and vegetables or whatever. I thought that there was going to be a note or something tied to the raft. Mm-hmm. So I instantly went for the raft. Did it work? No, but it's like one of those things where you start to think like that, like right away, like that was my thought pattern. So I'm surprised that, and you never know what did Ozzy did he think there was an idol or some type of clue on that ship on day one? Obviously, no. He dove in that water like in 2 seconds. Malcolm may be different. He stayed on. He was going. You could see him moving through stuff. So maybe he was looking for stuff. Mm-hmm. There's so many things going on, and my brain was fried half the time. Can you tell?
Well, this is what I wanted to kind of ask you this too, because you're coming off of, it had been 8 seasons since you had played. You're coming off of
10.
10. Okay, yeah, 10. Why am I saying 8? 10 seasons since you've played.
Sorry.
And then you're also you're coming off of one of the seasons that is probably one of the least reviewed. It was like a Kim-owned season. It seemed like you and Kim were really the season, and then once you went, it was Kim.
Yeah, it was a boring. So it's kind of like it was a snooze fest.
Does that benefit you though, coming out there? And did you try to play that up?
Definitely for me, because I was really one of the guys that I think no one really knew about my season in a sense. It was 10 seasons ago. That's a lot in a lot of people's minds. So they don't really remember. They only remember, that's the guy who's went crazy, kind of lost it. Yeah, this is my island. If we get him pissed off, he'll go aggro again. He'll get all cuckoo. So I'm like, that's fantastic. I don't want you to remember anything about my season or what I did or whatever. So I used it. I thought that was to my advantage for sure. Especially since the Co-Wrong 4, they were looked at real hard. Zeke and Michaela were looked at hard as well, just because it's one of those where the unknown factor. We treated them as they were like the rookies, like the new. They were in a sense thought of as, could they be a Russell Hansen's here, the male and female version? Because in my mind and probably everybody else's, it's like, what did they do that was so fantastic to get on Game Changers? It had to be something big, and we didn't know it was Game Changers until Jeff said the word Game Changers, So we're like, did they ask us out there? No, I think we knew before because we were getting interviewed. What do you think of the name Game Changer? And part of me is like, oh my God, Game Changers. I didn't feel like a game changer, but when you're getting interviewed and you're around other people that are game changers, you don't want to say I'm not. You want to feel like you belong, or that you did something that was fairly decent in your season to let yourself even be here. So, but the word game changers, I think it threw a lot of us off. It was one of those where, and we got a lot of shit before the season started of game changers. These guys aren't game changers. There's only probably 4 game changers in the whole history of Survivor, if you ask me personally. Someone that actually changed the game, how it was played or what actually happened in a game that changed the game. I think Johnny Fairplay's thing was a complete game changer. Never done that before. That's game changing. It has to be big. It can't just be a regular idle play or something, whatever. So we're trying to, I think all of us were trying to scramble. What what are you supposed to say to these, interviewers, that they were game? Yeah, I'm the game changer. I'm like, well, it's like, you're saying like, well, I changed the way I played my game in my season, or I changed the way kind of it was going, And I thought, God, why did they name this game changer? Said, and I feel like to some of these, super fans, or even some of these so-called Survivor writer experts, the
us.
No, not like you guys. It's like some of these
experts.
Some of these people who think they're so fantastic, then they know everything about Survivor, and they get their ass handed to them if they ever played. Dalton Ross.
Another shot fired.
That guy, he thinks he knows everything. He's from the couch. Today, this guy, he's 6'1".
Oh man! See, when we're talking about if we're on Survivor, I'm like, I might make it to day 2, or I might starve. Like I set the bar low so that if I make it to day 3, I'm exceeding expectations.
Well, some people just think that they know everything about it, and they've only like watched it from from their couch, and they've watched it a little bit from their island seat out there, but they don't really know everything, and they think that they do, and they have their own. Okay, they got their opinion, it's fine, but that's like telling me like some guy that's like sitting on his couch, never played a down in an NFL game, could go out there and critique how Tom Brady plays, and like somehow he knows how to throw a pass and knows how to call it a play, 33ZY5, and doesn't know shit and wouldn't know how to throw the goddamn pass in the first place. So yeah, I tell the people like, listen, I don't care what they were gonna call it. If they called me for the 4th time, I'm playing. You can call it bitches and bastards. I'm in.
I like this season.
Right? Survivor, bitches and bastards.
Off-season topic, Alexa. There we go.
Yeah, add it to the list. We have a list.
Yeah.
We'll
Survivor, dicks and chicks. I'm in.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So just I'm joking, people. It's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
So but I'm like, you know what? I think anybody that wants to play again, they don't care what it's called. We just wanted to play. All of us. Anybody that's played always feels like if they didn't win, even winners sometimes too, they feel like there's this, they need to redeem themselves. Like unless we're so highly competitive. And I'm telling you, and this is for anybody that ever wants to even play, and for you guys as well. If you're not highly competitive, they'll never cast you. You have to be like super competitive to the point where like just more than the average schmo. And that's why I think all of us, and if you ever meet, anybody that's played Survivor, we all have that thing in common where it's like, yeah, those guys are competitive, man. They're all fired up all the time. It's like they just have this like thing, like, and if they don't win, they have to play again to win. And if the winners don't feel like they get this deserving win, then they feel like they need to be justified. I get a win again so that I can show you that I really was a great winner. It's like, I'm more like, if I won, I'm like, listen, I don't care what you say about me. I just won. It's like, whatever. So it's just funny about, how much we want to play again. So like I said, they in hindsight, I think if they would have said, listen, you're going to Fiji, we're going to call it Survivor, the game has changed. Boom. That's better. Because that's really kind of what happened. The game really changed a lot. Like the amount of, idols and advantages and switches and stuff and, moves and grooves and everything that happened. The game really changed a lot. And the final tribal, format, that was a change. And just in general, so it wasn't so much that we were all game changers. The game changed and we adapted to it. I feel like a lot of us changed our game a lot. I changed my game a shitload from what I played last time, I feel like. I think Sarah changed her game a lot. I think Brad changed his game a lot. Like as far as like who changed their game the most, if it really came down to it, I would say us top 3 that made it to the end. That if you look at our original games and take everybody else, a lot of people in a sense played the same to me, the same way. Sandra changed a little bit, I think. Cirie kind of played similar to the way she's played, which is good. Some people didn't change at all. But I mean,
Tony sure didn't.
Tony didn't change his game much. You know, he almost changed it to the. I mean, I love that guy. I've talked to Tony outside the game, and he's just the funniest guy. He's just a very genuine, and he's a great dad. I like Tony a lot. I wish it's one of those things where, like, when you meet people outside the game and you talk to them, like Cirie Easton, I really like her as well, and I like everybody, but it's like when you meet them outside the game and then you have conversations with them, it's like, oh my God, you know, if I would have known you, like, you know, in the game, it would have been so much, you know, funnier and funny. Although people's personalities change when they're competing, it's very different. Like the conversations that you have outside the game, or like, you know, before the live reunion show, hanging out in the green room, it's like everyone's just, it's just a different vibe completely.
Well, with the reunion show now, I want to bring this up because this might have actually been the shining Troyzan moment. You getting up and being able to like take your bow and everything. Do you buy that it would have been a tie between Ty and Brad?
I don't think so, because I just feel like, and I knew, I looked at, Brad had a feeling he was going to get asked that question, like, you know, because Jeff likes to stir up the trouble and be like, you know, oh my God, if you just would have done that, you blew it, man. You blew it by one vote. You could have had $1 million. So it's like, when you're out there, the jury has a certain feeling, you know, whether they're still a little bit angry or not. And then you get out of the game, and then you have little conversations, and we text back and forth, and you start to become a little bit different, and your opinion changes about the person a little bit. So and then as you watch the show, you even change more. So to ask somebody at the very end of all of that, like if you would have voted the same, it's not the same thing. It's not the same. You don't have the same feelings, even though you can't. It's like you can go back and think, how did I think back then? But you're asking someone like on a live show if they would have, you know, voted for Ty or Brad, like even, I mean, I don't know, but I was just cracked me up when I didn't know. I always thought, what if they do, if it's a tie? And I thought, it's gonna be fantastic if they were forced to like do fire right there on the stage. Like, great. It's like
fight to the death.
Extend. Okay, we're gonna extend the live reunion another half an hour, folks. So here we go. But you know, and so when he said, you know, I was halfway confused. I'm like, it's a live show, and he's like, I'm like, am I out now? Why aren't I in the final three? Am I fourth? He goes, no, you idiot, you're still here. Like, what? You're third. You don't get a vote. It's like, and when he finally said, like, you know, it's a 5-5 tie, Troyzan, you'd have to go. And I mean, I thought in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, this would be fantastic. I could just see myself there at the voting urn, you know, sitting there at the camera, like, it's up to me. It's up to me. I get to give. I'm giving the $1 million away, people. And then if I go back and like, hold on, can I ask a question to each one of these guys? I'd be like, Brad, no, I'm gonna get a boat, and like you're gonna give me a new car, right? And then Ty, what are you getting? You got a vacation in Hawaii, and what else? You know, I would play it up big time. I'm like, oh my God. But can you imagine if it really did come down to it, and then I have to stand up at the live thing and just be like, this is my vote, just stand up. And I thought, like, God. And then I thought, you know, Brad was like wasting a lot of time talking about Ty, and then they were going to do this, and like, you know, I know how quick these live shows go. Brad's not. I mean, I'm thinking like Jeff's not. He's not asking me squat, so I might as well stand up and be like, hey man, this is my shining moment right here, baby. Yeah. The audience loved it too. They kind of went crazy, like applauding. And there's a picture that Sarah sent me. It's like just a live, like just freeze frame. The entire cast were like laughing and like applauding, and like it was pretty good. So I mean, I just did it more like it's just kind of like joking around and like, you know, come on people, stand up, you know, I got 0 votes, so here, you know, here's my chance kind of thing. Like, you know, I'm a finalist, god damn it, stand up.
Well, that was one of the better live reunion shows in recent memory, and that like started it off really great. So you know what? You stole the show. So that was your hour.
Yeah, I had to at least get like, you know, my last 15 minutes of fame in there somehow, and do something like halfway decent, because, you know, I didn't know they were going to spend like a lot of time on the Zeke Varner thing, you know, or it's just one of those things where I feel like the live show goes so fast, you know, and Jeff even tells us, you know, during commercial breaks, he goes, this is going so fast, you know, I wish I could just, you know, add more. And he even told us, like, before the final episode, he goes, that episode we had was so good, the last 2 hours, he goes, it was 17 minutes long when we first did the first cut, or 20 minutes long. We had to cut 20 minutes out of it. He goes, we had so much stuff. I'm like, it just goes to show you how much stuff they have and how much they have to just cut out down to like the seconds, you know. There's some things I do miss though, that is like old school Survivor that's like really got me watching. It always was interesting. I thought the tree mail was always cool to watch. They didn't show Jack from tree mail this year. They better even show us walking a tree mail. You know,
Tony digging his grave under there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, and I always like the opening credits video. I think that I don't care what anybody says. I think that everyone reconnects with the players because they see their name and their face, you know, especially on new seasons where the general public, like the 10 million people that watch, they don't remember names that well. They'll be, oh yeah, the long-haired guy, or the chick with the glasses. But when they see your video, that's what caught me. Like when I watched season 1 and I would, you know, hear that music come up and I'd see, you know, boom, a face, and then Richard, click, another, you know, Jervis, you know, boom, you know, I'm like, oh, and I would remember their names. And then I felt like I had a personal, like, connection to them because I knew their name. You're like, oh, that's Rudy, that old son of a bitch. Like, yeah, da da da. You know what I mean? As opposed to the old guy. So I feel like I still feel like they're missing out. I put out a tweet to the producer. He's the main guy, Matt. And I'm like, so because he said something about you can go watch the intro on YouTube or something, and it lasts 77 seconds, right? So I'm like, Matt, I said, bro, you don't have 77 seconds to, you know, to show us, you know, our intro deal. What's going on? And he goes, well, that's 77 seconds that you'd have to miss of you doing cool things. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, and then some guy at the end of the season tweets out like, I guess they didn't have 77 seconds for Troyzan.
You didn't do many cool things apparently.
Yeah, whatever. You didn't have 77 seconds all year.
Oh my God. 77 seconds. That's quick. But
it's like a minute and a few seconds. It's like I just feel like, but I just think it's cool, and it's the theme song. It's everyone knows that. It's like I just feel like, I mean, honestly, if I'm sitting in a room with executives, I'm like, listen, we got to play that. That's part of Survivor. Oh, yeah. That's like taking out you listen to the theme song for TV shows all the time. That's what connects you to the show right off the bat. To me. Right.
Well, and it's a cast intro. Every show lists out the cast at the beginning. You know, even if it's not a reality show, they still will tell you, you know, whoever the actors are.
Right.
Yeah. And I always loved looking at like the weird facial expressions they were making and like what animal they put with them. Like everyone had something very distinct about their intro. I missed that. I love that.
Plus, I was you know first up on the thing, so I'm like, yeah, of course I would want it to. Yeah, I'm the first face swimming through the water. Like, hey, that's a pretty cool swim shot. All right,
yeah,
play that everywhere.
Yeah,
if you're gonna make me invisible, at least let's get the swimming green monster in there each week at the beginning of the episodes.
Yeah, give the people what they want. Well, that was what we'd been. I mean, that kind of just ties back to what we've been saying about this season. All we wanted was just to see you guys having your natural moments, just having these intros, having this fight with an eel that you and Ty had, like just a handful. That's all we wanted, and you guys had a blast out there, and we just never really got to see it.
And what moment? I just to latch on to what Alexa just said. What moment is there? Like another moment? I know you said the Ty one, but is there like another moment that you really like? Because I know we saw the Cirie thing, but like, was there another moment that you were like, wow, they should have shown that? Like, that was such a great moment.
Well, there was a moment that was super fun, and I think it was 4th of July, right? We knew it was the 4th. Like, you know, we kind of keep track of like what day it is out there, and some people are better at it than others. Like, what's the day? Like, is it June 25th or is it 3rd? Or what? You know, and then we would do the notches on the tree for the days, but we knew it was July 4th, and so. And that at that point, it was like day 30, it was past 30 something. So we took a crap load of bamboo. We're like, we're going to make a giant bonfire on the beach. You know, it's going to be fantastic. You know, we had like crap loads of bamboo left. And bamboo burns hot and it burns bright and it pops. Like in between is like a pocket of air that's sealed, but when it burned through it, it explodes. I mean, it really pops. So we had this huge, I mean, it was like a 10-foot bonfire going. And, you know, the thing is like popping and sparks are flying, you know, flying around people. And we start singing the Star Spangled Banner. And I grab the torch out of the thing and I start running around. And, you know, Aubrey thinks I'm crazy because he thinks I'm going to burn the whole forest down and like a pyro. And I do a full on like Braveheart speech, you know, basically, you know, sons of Scotland, this is, you know, William Wallace, you know, it's like, and people are like, what the hell? And then we just all were singing and jumping around the fire. And then the camera guy left, but he left his camera on the tripod. So, and we thought it was on because we thought he was filming us. And so we were like in front of the camera, like dancing like idiots, like wild banshees, like, you know, like just crazy island stuff. And like people are pulling their pants down. It's classic. And so, and we're dancing and going like nuts, like a bunch of kids. And I'm like, this would be great if even if it was a secret scene or just like an extra scene. I thought that was a fantastic, like, you know, like, oh my God, like, wow, that's like something I think that the audience would see that like we're out there also having fun. It's not all about just, you know, strategy. I mean, I'd say, God, 80% of the time we're just sitting around having conversations about whatever, life, or, I mean, our conversations go from, you know, religion to science to the craziest place you ever had sex, you know, or whatever. And so it's like, it's all over the place. I mean, Tavua, that tribe was all about we had the craziest, that was a dirty tribe. That was a dirty tribe right there, man. That was some crazy, I mean, oh my God. It was like every night would be like, okay, here's the topic. And just run with your stories. It's like, oh my God. It's like, I thought Mana was bad. It's like, geez, these Tavua people, they have the dirtiest minds on the planet.
You're telling me Cirie's not the nice mom we all thought she was?
No, and Zeke, man. I call him Zeke the Freak. I actually call him Zeke the Freak at the finale thing. Not in a way, not meaning like Zeke a freak, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, because in all honesty, Zeke is just Zeke. Zeke's a guy. He presented himself as a gay man to me. Zeke's just a guy that I met out there. He's still the same. I see, you know, just him as like kind of a crazy. His stories were like, he had some wild. I can't even.
That's for after we log off.
That's like, oh my God. Yeah, I'll tell you in private. Oh my God. On the lines of the. What was that show? Oh, the 40-Year-Old Virgin. When the Indian guy was telling him about all these, the rusty trombone and the Cincinnati bow tie and all this. It's on the lines of all that shit.
Oh my God, amazing.
Man, these are the secret scenes I want. Like the strategy secret scenes, the emotional ones, like, yeah, those are great. I want this stuff.
Yeah, they're funny. I also did another photo shoot with Andrea. She was on a tree. She was on a palm tree that was coming over the ocean. She's like laying on it, and I was like telling her to roll her shoulders over and hips. And it's like, it was full on photo shoot going on. That was funny. That was pretty fun. There's just so much. I mean, also in Tavua, we all went out like way out in the ocean to the reef, and like Ozzy was kind of teaching the girls how to dive down and use the flippers, and it's just that kind of stuff is just cool because we're just out there. In a way, it's almost like you're on vacation, you know, when you're just floating around and goofing off like that. You know, and then sea turtle would come by and we'd freak out, you know. It's like, but it'd be cool just to see, like, even if it was a 2-minute scene, you know, where we're all out there joking around, splashing around, and the sea turtle comes by and we come up, oh my God, a sea turtle, you know. There was one, but I'd say there was one scene that I had, and I thought for sure they'd show it, but I guess they just don't want to show like island life. Ozzy had caught a stingray, right? It was about this big. And I think they showed that part where I said, oh my God, bro, what's that? And he said he was going to go out and do some more fishing. And he had already killed the ray. So I took it was on a log. So I flipped the ray. I was going to take it and, you know, fillet it some more. And I flip it over, and underneath it is a baby ray, like a little ray. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh.
I'm like, and it's alive. I'm like, this is bad. This is bad. And I'm like, I can't kill that baby ray. Like, it's just, I don't care what anybody says. I can't do it. And I'm like, but I don't want that ray to die. And I was just, and it's one of those things where, like, when you get tired and you get like hungry and you get very emotional, and like, you know, I start thinking about, like, you know, my own pets and my, you know, I used to have a bunch of marmoset monkeys, and it's like, I have my dogs, and I'm like, oh, this poor little animal, like, he's gonna die. Like, I get all emotional. It's funny now, but Andrea's sitting there. She goes, well, I don't know if it's still alive. I say, yeah, this thing is still alive, but it's been out of the water for so long, man. I don't know. So I lift it up with like a machete, right? I take a machete underneath it and I put it in the water. And it's just the waves coming in, just kind of flipping it around. I'm like, oh shit, man, this thing's gonna die. And I'm like, oh, come on, little Ray. And it's like, I kind of grab him again, and he's like kind of getting rolled around. Come on, little Ray. Oh, I'm like, oh, come on, Ray. I started crying, like, and then I see him like kind of go like this. I'm like, oh my God, I don't think he's gonna make it. And like, and he kind of goes up towards the next wave, and he does like start doing a little flap, like this little. I'm like, Andy, I think he's gonna make it. He's starting to flap. He's starting to. I say, come on, Ray, and then he does one or two flaps. And he goes and he makes it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, come on, little Ray. So she's all, and then so I do my interview with like the producer. Like a few hours later, I fully start crying, like telling the story about the Cirie, and like I was so sad that like he'd lost his mother, and now he's all alone in the sea, but he made it, you know. And I was like, oh my God, like that would have been a classic scene.
Oh my, that would. I mean, we had the goat scene, which became very controversial on do you or do you not kill the goat. But I would have loved to see something like that. I'm a huge animal lover, and I'm an island life fan. That's what I want to see. And I know, like you said this, I'm taking this right out of your mouth, but let's make those the secret scenes. That's what we want to see.
Because to me, that doesn't take away anything from the season or how someone won, or, you know what I mean? That's just the fun scenes. I don't see it doesn't take away from anything. Someone's not going to gain something. So I don't know why they can't put those out there. I mean, there was another one where, you know, we had like one chicken left because Debbie had like opened up to feed it. She lifted up the cage and the chicken goes flying out. I go, well, that was the dumbest move I've ever seen. Like, how would you lift up the thing? So then Brad and somebody else have been trying to catch it all day, and they had won a reward. They were flying off to helicopter, eating somewhere, or I don't know what they were doing. And Brad's like, well, have fun trying to catch that chicken there, buddy. And like being a smart ass, I'm like, well, screw him. I said, Ty, I'm catching that damn chicken. I don't care what anybody says. It's like, I don't know what we're going to do, but that thing is running around the woods. I'm catching it. So I made a chicken trap out of this crate, and I put it's like just the old time chicken trap where you put the crate up, put a stick underneath it. Mm-hmm. I put like a machete, a big heavy, like, you know, we had like a half of a sledgehammer on top for weight, and I had like a 25, 30-foot rope. I'm like, Ty, you put some coconut in there, that chicken will come around. And like, sure enough, here comes the chicken, and Ty's like, here, chicken, here, chicken. He's feeding it, and he coaxes it along. I said, make sure you put that coconut way in the back of the crate. I said, because once I pull this thing, it's gonna get, you know, catching this. And we've been trying to catch this thing like all day long. People are like chasing it, you know. I mean, Michaela and Cirie are in the woods trying to grab it and chase it. You're never gonna catch a chicken. Like, it's gonna fly away. So finally it came around, and it was a good 25, 30 feet from the camp. I'm like, oh my God, Ty, there it is. And he goes, he starts doing his chicken call, and his chicken call is, hey, chicken, hey, chicken. And he gets him back in the crate, and like, I just rip that thing, and like puts down, and Ty goes running, we go running. I stub my toe, and like flip over this log, and we just grab it, and we catch the chicken, man. And then Ty has, you know, he decides he's gonna, you know, be the one to butcher it because he wants to save the blood, because he actually eats the blood, like cooked blood. Oh. I mean, what Ty is an animal guy, but Ty is like, he grew up in Vietnam. He's killed plenty of chickens in his days. I mean, he knows how to butcher the chicken. He butchered it like he's butchered 100, you know, like he knows exactly what he's doing. So we had chicken that night, and I think that would have been like a fun scene as well. And the chicken was like, you know, hard as a brick. I mean, it's just like chewing on a rubber ball. I mean, Michaela didn't cook it like long enough, right? So like when you try, you know, I mean, I think Sarah cracked a tooth. I mean, I cracked the front of my tooth. She cracked a whole half of her tooth off.
Oh my god!
So like shit like that happens all the time. That's all camp life, camp stuff, like that people just don't see. You know, I mean, you know, all crazy stuff. The chicken laying his egg on top of the thing, that happened a lot. I mean, you got to see that. Like people they're like, oh, that's all Troy said. He smells eggs.
Why'd you smell it?
We have to know. We gotta know.
I wanted to see if it was fresh or like it had been old and rotten, like it would smell like sulfur. Because,
okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so like, because Ty was going, oh, the chicken on the roof, I think a chicken making a nest on the roof. And I'm like, really? And then you hear the chicken kind of go, brr, brr, and it's like, I think it's got an egg, and that's why I smell it. Is it fresh? I don't know.
It was cool out of context. It seemed weird.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know. It's like anything I do out there. It's like, you know, I get shit for saying click, click, click.
But like that kind of, like you smelling the egg, like the Andrea click, click, and even one of my favorite tiny little moments that like if you don't look for a second, you'll miss it. I think Andrea and Cirie are hanging out at the water well, and Sarah comes up and she's like, wee, ooh, wee, like she's making her officer sound walking.
Oh, yeah.
That was so funny.
I know, and then I love the B-rolls where they show like the lizard, like that it's actually there going, you're like listening or looking or, you know,
sticking out its tongue.
Yeah, it's funny. Like if you watch the show as you're looking like for the edit, then I think you'll realize too that everything doesn't run just seamlessly, like especially tribal council, where like Jeff will ask me a question and I'll say something, or I might say like, well, you know, that Ty guy, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll get a shot of Ty's face and then he'll roll his eyes, you know, which he could have rolled his eyes at somebody else, or that he could have rolled his eyes on the tribal council before and they decided to put that clip in there. You know what I mean? So it's funny how they'll show a conversation, but then they'll show the reaction shot, which might not be at the exact same time, because there might be only one camera there, but they're not showing. It's not all perfectly streamed along, like it's edited so that you guys can either, in a sense, like somebody or like the conversation or not, or get a reaction shot. You know, it's just always funny, or like especially like the reaction shots with like, you know, they'll show like a snake, and then they'll show like somebody talking, or they'll show like they'll have some goofy music, you know, like. It's just funny how they'll lead people along with that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that kind of happened with the Debbie Haley thing this year. At least it seemed like that was kind of out of order or something to make us all be like, "What is Debbie talking about? She's insane."
Well, it was because because it did take Haley a few times to go. It wasn't like she just went like one time. So it was like Debbie was right. Like, you know, it's one of those things where even with the Cirie thing. You know, like it took her like 12 times to go across that balance beam. It just didn't happen like on, you know, like she fell once and then went back up and did it. You know, it's one of those things where, and even Jeff, like in that scene, Jeff was like, you know, normally when one team wins, it's just like, okay, it's over. This team won. Okay, everyone swim to the dock. You guys are going to reward. You guys are getting the boat and you're gone. Jeff basically said, you know, no one's going anywhere. Camera guys, keep rolling. We're not stopping this until, you know, Cirie finishes. You know, Cirie, are you know, in the sense, are you going to finish this? You know, we're not going anywhere, kind of deal. Where I feel like it's not like it didn't happen, but I feel like, did it happen in a completely organic way? Not really. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, if Cirie, if he wouldn't have said anything, would she just said, "Oh, I'm just going to swim over to the dock and go home"? Probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking too. So we're at the 2-hour mark.
Oh my God! Really?
Holy crap!
Troyzan, we've hit 2 hours already.
See, I told you I could.
So, well, let's do some comments because we have a few comments on here. So let's do some comments and see if they steer it to anything else. See what some of the fans want here.
Okay.
We have Nathan Garcia. He asked, "Did Jeff read the votes at the Cirie Tribal because the jury seemed to know how the votes played out?"
No, we never read them. We didn't know. We didn't know how it was going. Yeah.
So you didn't actually know that Sarah would have gone home that night?
We didn't know. No, we didn't know. We didn't have a clue on that one. Yeah. That was interesting too. Like, just goes to show you, just a fine line can either win you or lose you the season. Like, I mean, it's just, you know, I talk about with Sarah a lot, to win, especially this year, everything has to work perfectly. Like, there's a lot of, you know, each thing has to fit perfectly in line, and that's what it did for Sarah. I mean, it's the perfect storm, you know, where everything works. And you know, where if one thing goes out of place, it's like, oh, boom, okay, you're gone, and then somebody else gets a different edit, you know.
Yeah, and then we have Real Deal 2.0. Did Troyzan ever talk to Brad about voting out Sarah at the final 4 instead of Ty?
Yes, we talked about that, but like, then again, you know, we're looking at the same thing with is the jury coming in, you know, looking at Sarah. We know that Sarah has, like, you know, really backstabbed a lot of people that she, you know, really was good friends with, or felt like they were really close, and we could see the reactions on their faces. So we're thinking, like, you know, Ty could get some votes. I mean, Ty hasn't really pissed off anybody that much. You know, it'll be the third time. It'll be his second time getting to the final 3. Maybe he's going to get, you know, some points for that. So we went through that scenario, you know. There's a secret scene with Sarah and I where she's like, you know, if Ty wins, are you and Brad, you know, what's gonna, you know, are you gonna? She asked me, are you gonna vote for Brad or me? And she starts crying and saying, like, I can't have, you know, I can't have a second child unless I win this money. I need this money way more than Brad. You know, Brad doesn't need any money. I'm like, oh my God, don't put that on me. And part of me thinking, like, oh, I want the money. Well, I mean, where do I stand in this? Like, I know you need the money. You want the money. I want it just as much. But she was trying to debate, like, and I'm just like, thank God that never came to it, because I was like, I was close with both of them. And I was a lot closer to Sarah than what you guys saw. I mean, I was close from Sarah from the second we made that communication in Tavua. And it was like, I had conversations with Sarah all the time, even though she was doing stuff on her own. I always felt like in some way, like I trusted her because, well, for one, my name was never really popping up, and there was something about where I felt like, you know, I know that everyone else trusted her, but there was something about where I just felt like, you know, our conversations maybe were a little bit different, and I don't know. They didn't show a lot of that.
Well, I feel like they didn't show a lot of Sarah with really anyone. That's why for us it was confusing as viewers to sit here and go, Sarah's going to win this game. But, like, we haven't seen her build, like, real relationships with people. We see, like, she was able to convince Cirie to give her that advantage. But, like, I was like, I'm not buying it. Is everybody else? And then everybody seemed like they ate it up.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, and so I'm the same because I'm out there. I don't get to see conversations that other people are having that are private conversations. So, you know, I know that she's, you know, talking and close, but I don't get to see what she's actually saying. So, and unless I grab somebody now and say, like, you know, oh, what kind of things were you guys talking about? Was it the same as mine? Yeah, I don't know. Like, you know, but I felt like too, and Sarah has said it, like, I always felt like I had to kind of mend things between Brad and Cirie a lot. Like I felt like I was the glue that was holding that 3 together, where Brad would go crazy and Sarah's like, I don't know, you know, does Brad agree with this? I said, just relax, Brad's fine. And then I'd go back to Brad, like, I got to get rid of Sarah. She's doing this. And I said, no, she's fine. Like, we're going to be, you just trust me on this. And I would have to always, like, settle things down between the two of them a lot. And I think if people might have seen that, they would have probably thought a little bit different too about my game as well. So, yeah.
And we'd always heard.
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, we always, or what we had been shown was, oh, it's Brad and Cirie. So having, like, just seeing the dynamic between the 3 of you would have been really nice.
Oh, you mean, I was talking about Sarah. I mean, so what was the question about me, Brad, and Cirie?
Oh, so
no, it was about you, Brad and Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I was close with Cirie too. You know, it's like, and I had thought that would have been, I mean, realistically, when we merged, and it was Brad, myself, Cirie, Sarah, Ty, and Debbie, I thought that final 6 is easy. I can do that in a second. And I thought for sure the final 4 would be Brad, Sarah, Cirie, and me, for sure. I'm like, well, why wouldn't I guarantee what? And I kept saying to people, and even at the final trial, I'm like, if I have that guarantee, why wouldn't I take it? I'm already at 4. I win 1 challenge. I'm in the position to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't you take that? That's just common sense. And I mean, it's funny because it turned out to be 3 of us out of the 4. But yeah, I was close with Cirie, Don Thomas too, and Brad. I knew that they were close. So, but I was going to go with either way. I was like, but Cirie, there was a point where I just felt like she was almost like gave up. She was just so tired and just so out and burnt out. She just went down to the beach and just kind of like gave up all strategy and everything else. I'm like, looked at Brad. I said, I think she's just done. Like she wants to go home almost.
Wow,
that's shocking. I feel like we saw like a lot of her.
I know. So, and we talked a lot. There was a lot of strategy there as well. It wasn't like, I don't feel like what the editing was like, Cirie was the godfather, Brad was second in line, Brad was telling me what to do. That wasn't the case at all. I mean, it just wasn't, and just because Cirie had said it, somehow people make that out to be that her words are like facts.
Right.
Like when someone says something out there, the audience takes it as fact, which is not, which wasn't true at all,
Mm-hmm.
So we got Gamer Girl, who I guess said Sarah revealed on Beyond the Buff that you had revealed to Sarah and Brad at the final reward that you had the idol. Why did you do that?
I don't think I did, though. That's what doesn't make sense. Because Sarah asked me after Tribal, she goes, why didn't you tell me you had an idol?
Oh.
Well, there you go.
Well, that question's been built.
But it just goes to show you, though, like our memory banks, everybody's memories are different than as far as recalling what happened. Because when you're out there, you think that you know it, and then you come back and like, God, I mean, even this season, I would call people and I said, I don't even remember what's going on next week. I don't even remember the challenge. It's like my brain. I said, why not? But in my first season, I remembered everything. This one, I just didn't. I don't know whether it's just because I just felt like I was constantly talking and doing in some way speaking some type of strategy that fried my brain or what. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Question answered.
Yeah. And then Gamer Girl also says, was Aubrey playing under the radar too? Is that why she got a smaller edit?
Well, Aubrey just never seemed to get on the in an alliance where she felt like that they would stay solid. It just kept switching on her all the time. I mean, she made the mistake in the beginning to, get with Tony or at least be seen with Tony too much. And that didn't help her out. So she was kind of like, and in all fairness, and actually a big plus to Aubrey, she was treated like a winner. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? She was treated like, in a sense, Sandra or JT or whatever. So it was like, we got to be very careful of Aubrey. She's a smart cookie, and we don't know what's up her sleeve. We don't care what position she's in, But I had conversations with Aubrey where I felt like, I wasn't at the bottom in the beginning of Mana, but I would say like, oh yeah, I feel bad. I don't know what I'm doing. I feel like I'm out of the loop. Because only because I never knew if I never felt like I wasn't going to talk to I was going to talk to everybody, only because you just never know when you're going to, need that person or when the conversation is going to come up again. But she just never seemed to get in the right side of, a good number. And that was just tough. I mean, it was tough to be. I mean, there was a moment where Brad and I were going to get together with Aubrey and vote out Sarah. And we were just waiting for Ty because Sarah had basically made a couple of votes on her own. The Debbie vote we didn't know about. And then I think it was the Zeke vote. And I looked at Brad, and Brad looked at me and goes, and we're like, oh, that's Sarah. She's just making her own rogue moves here. I don't know. It's getting tough. And so I went to Aubrey. I said, Aubrey, if we do something here, we're gonna need Ty. Like, is Ty good, or is he going back? And what's this deal? And Ty just never committed to us. He was one of those like, I don't know. I try, maybe no. Yeah, I'm with the girls. I'm with you. I'm not. And they're like, oh my God, we don't know what he's doing. So we basically, in so many words, said to Aubrey, like, if Ty would have been on, it might have been, Brad, Aubrey, Ty as a Final Four.
Oh wow. All right. So then we got Aaron Wiener, who said, did you already know Sarah was going to win once you left that final tribal?
Yes.
It was like no doubt Brad had lost.
No, not no doubt, but I mean, you could kind of just get a sense of, like, the thing lasted for 2.5 hours, man. It's like it went forever. And just by the questions and the reactions and the responses, you could tell who was going to vote for who. You really could. I mean, there was a couple of, like, Haley might have been up in the air, but it's like, I think, like, by the time we got back to Ponderosa, it was like, yeah, I think we all knew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you think she knew?
Yeah, I think she knew.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, like, and then the season ends, then you start, people talk. I don't know if everyone just comes straight out and says I voted for you, but I mean, I'm sure some do. I mean, but then you watch it, and I think Sarah's like, well, probably counting, like, she's probably counting the votes. Like, okay, I know I got 100%. It's like, God, I don't know. How did Ty vote? Maybe Ty didn't. Maybe Ty, and then you start questioning things, but I think she knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the only thing I want to ask on top of that, at the reunion, I don't know if we ever saw this, but you were sitting in the middle of Brad and Sarah, and every time a vote came up, you kind of made like a little comment on it. And I don't know if your mic was just turned up more than they thought. Did you get any crap for that?
None. I think it's funny.
Really?
It's no crap at all. It's funny because I know I'm mic'd, but I mean, it says I don't care, whatever. If I'm mic'd, I should be able to say what I want to say. I pretty much knew that Sarah had won, and I just didn't want her to be like, she looked like she was frozen, like I don't know what to do here. And I would just either grab her hand, or I would say something fun, try to say something funny. I mean, I think I said something to Brad, and I actually turned to her and I said, Sarah, just think of the green monster, like right before she was going to win. And you can actually hear, if you go back, you'll hear the word green monster. If you go back.
Oh, I gotta go watch that.
And so then she won, and I hugged her. But I just wanted her to relax. That's why I just kept talking, like, in between votes or whatever.
Oh man,
that's funny.
They don't tell us, like, don't speak out or whatever. There's no rule. So
yeah, you always see little chatter when they're revealing the votes. But yeah, I guess your mic was just up a couple notches.
Well, I mean, they can turn a mic completely off if they want. We got this damn mic sticking in our asses. It's like it's a pain. It's a little pain in the ass.
Literally. Travis Herod, this goes all the way back to you talking about the advantages at the beginning of the game. He says, was it possible that Ozzy thought an idol was hidden in the fishing gear, and that would have been genius if that's why he went out?
Possible, yeah. Hey, that's that's a real Survivor thinking right there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you never know. That's heck, thing hanging off the deal, that would actually been a good idea, because then it's like, because that makes sense, because like someone that's going to kind of target themselves, like you're going to jump off, like in whatever season that jumped off, and I think it was Second Chances, going for the rice.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of putting a target on your back a little bit, but if you get rewarded in some sense, yeah, that could have been cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Beast Mode Cowboy tried to they didn't show it. He tried to take on Ozzy.
He did it so late too. He gave Ozzy a head start.
God, the guy, I'm looking at him, and this is before I jumped in the raft, and he goes, I think I'm going to go for it. I'm like, I'm looking over there. Ozzy's almost to the buoy, right? I'm like, this guy's got full cowboy boots on with a belt buckle that's got Beast Mode Cowboy on it. jeans, and I'm like, dude, you're never gonna catch him in a million years. Like, are you kidding me? And so then he grabs the mask, goes, I'm going for it.
Like, see you later.
And this is the second I knew this guy was like, oh, I gotta be nice. I'm like, what is this kook doing? He does a full flip off the top shelf of the top deck of the ship. With his cowboy boots on. It's going for a swim to go catch Ozzy. I'm like, stick to Big Brother, buddy. I think Big Brother. He's like, you stick to, dressing up in banana suits and, eating slop or whatever you guys do on that show.
That's definitely what they do.
Oh my God.
That's amazing.
Poor Caleb.
He's an all right guy though, but he just I don't think Survivor is his deal.
We got Stephen Holt with more of a comment than a question, but he says, great to see you back. How great it is you got a final 3 here. He's hysterical. They barely showed your great sense of humor.
Okay, well, I agree. I don't know how to answer that.
That's okay.
It was like a statement. Okay.
Here comes some positivity, And then, Troyzan, I don't know how much you've been following us here, but we always said with you and Terry, you guys are like the crazy Thanksgiving uncles who they're always at the Thanksgiving dinner and everything and all that, playing the Thanksgiving pickup football game and all that. And I have it. Alexa has it. So
the pickup football game on Wedding Crashers? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God, I just watched that again the other day. I just fucking laughed so hard. What's the actor's name? He's getting all crazy.
Bradley Cooper.
He's down in the stands. He's down there getting all fired. Oh my God, he got the socks on. That's good. Yeah, that's the classic fucking crazy football game.
Yeah, so we had the random question. It's going to seem random, but there's your little bit of background. Giovanni Oriano says, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food to eat? So that's where it comes from.
Oh, God. I think, Jesus, green beans.
Oh, okay.
We asked the important question.
For dessert, green M&Ms.
Oh, my God, everything's green. I'm
everything's
scared.
green. Green eggs and ham.
Just for Alexa.
I love it.
All right.
My God.
Go Hurricanes.
Hey, go
Okay.
Hurricanes, exactly. Hey, that's where I went to. That's where Will went. We all went to Miami. So.
Well, I need I need the green and orange monster.
That's what you need, yeah.
There you go.
That's scary.
So we got Aaron Wiener. What were you and Sandra really talking about when Tony was in his spy bunker?
We were just bullshitting. No. We were actually saying who's really a threat here? Who is Tony really a threat? I mean, his name did pop up. It was one of those but who's actually a bigger threat? Who because I pulled her aside. It was pretty late, and I was just kind of. It might have been tribal it might have been immunity for the challenge the next day. So I just wanted to make sure that Sandra and I were on the same page because we had Varner as well, and I felt and I said, listen, Haley. I think Haley's good with me. We're good to go. So we got to figure out what we're doing here. But when he comes sneaking up, and then she even looked at him, and she looked over and she goes, look at this kook. He's laying down in a sand. Look at this guy. What's he doing? He's and he comes up, what's going on, guys? And I'm like, well, I don't want to tell him we're strategizing here. Looking at the waves, man. We just watch the ocean, man. Just got to get my zen moment. I know he's telling I need a zen moment, Tony. He started laughing. He's like, oh yeah, this guy.
Well, that was one of my favorite scenes early on because he is just creeping on you guys. And he comes up and you guys are like, oh yes, the tides, the waves.
Well, she made up some other excuse. I don't know. I forgot what she said. She's talking about the crates or something about that. We both made up some goofy ass bullshit. It's we're watching the waves. I mean, give me a break. It's we're up on this
4:00 in the morning.
That's the deal. It's one of those things where you really have to be a liar that can lie on the spot, boom, really quick and good. It's one of those things where when you're caught off guard with, frickin', G.I. Joe Tony coming at you, he's down on the ground scuffling, like a sand squirrel. It's classic to rewatch that. It's so we were doing a bit of strategizing for sure. Although he's super paranoid. So, you come up on a conversation like that, you're going to be paranoid, especially if he hears his name, but I don't think his name was coming up as far as like Tony's going home. It was more like, do we have to worry about Tony? Da da da.
Mm-hmm. And then the last question here from the fan, it's another important one. It's Giovanni again. He says, "What did you think of Brad's mustache?"
That's an important
Here's the deal. See, people don't grasp Brad's humor, because Brad did that as a complete joke. Like, duh, this is such a goofy ass mustache. It's like, it's not even serious, not even for real. It's like, because he came out, like before we go into the live show, there's the green room, but then there's also, we all have separate dressing rooms. I mean, even like, like Jeff Probst has his, and then there's, and each, there's like a couple in each one, and they put Brad and myself in one. And so he comes out of the bathroom and he's got this one. I go, bro, what are you kidding? Are you gonna wear that? He goes, yeah, man. He goes, I'm gonna wear it with the short sleeve shirts. I go, you look like fucking Gern Blanston, the State Farm insurance salesman. Like, are you kidding me? Like, what's it? Ned Ryerson.
The short sleeve dress shirt is like
with the tie. And he goes, no. He goes, I'm doing it, bro. And I think did he wear the hat too with that?
No, they didn't. He didn't wear the hat.
Oh, but the hat was even better. He's got the Syracuse hat with the mustache. Yeah. I mean, but he did it as a complete joke, and people thought he was like, I guess, serious, or I don't know. I guess you got to know Brad. Brad jokes a lot out there. He's like telling jokes constantly, and like always like flipping someone some shit or something. So yeah, that was just Brad being Brad.
Oh,
and your impression, I know you had probably known Brad because of Monica and all of that, but
right.
Your impression of Brad, at least watching that season the first time, compared to actually playing the game with him.
Watching Brad on Blood versus Water?
On Blood versus Water, and then actually like playing with him. How he interacted with everybody?
Oh, Brad was just, I mean, as far as like watching on the first one, it's like, I know it's an edit, so it's one of those things where like, see, Brad's like a super team player. And I think that just comes from like sports and whatever. And he's like really good with his family, like as far as like, he's the leader. He's the guy. He's the supportive guy. He supports his kids 100%. He's just such a good dad. He's his kids watching his kids on the sidelines. It's one of these guys where it's like you can always go to Brad. You can rely on Brad kind of guy. And he was that way around camp. I mean, Brad was the one who was, constantly making sure that, we had plenty of coconuts. Or Brad fished more than Ozzy fished.
Wow.
I mean, Brad was out there fishing a lot. I mean, getting stuff. He was, constantly making sure that the shelter was fine, or that we all did that stuff. But it's just Brad was like one of these guys who like a real team player. And you could tell like even in challenges where it's like, Brad knew his position, but he is the kind of guy who can get somebody to be their best and their 100%. That's kind of what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, but he's an NFL. He's an ex-NFL defensive lineman. You have to have a mentality to play that game that's like way more intense than people actually think. You can't play in the NFL for 13, 14 years and have a personality that's kind of like, he gets fired up, but I kind of knew that. I mean, and I've been around athletes. I've played sports myself, and I just, the intensity level for him, he would get super intense on things, but then I'm just like, that's just Brad. I know he's just going to settle down in a minute, where people would take it like, oh my God, he's freaking out. F-bombs are flying. He's like, effing machete, fucking get the coconuts, and there's all this fucking stuff, and then fucking that. I'm like, whoa. I was like, Brad, I pull aside. I'm like, Brad, you got to take it down a notch, buddy. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. But, I thought it was just more funny. I think people didn't realize he was as funny as he was, around camp. That's what probably threw people off, that he's like a joke, just like the locker room.
Always, it was always interesting to hear what people's real takes on Brad were based on how that edit was. So it's always interesting.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're at like 2.5 hours now, so we'll let you. We'll try to wrap this up here, Alex. I know you had another question, right?
Yeah, I had one quick question that we had mentioned Debbie, and we kind of like went a different direction. But so was the first time anyone had ever heard of her exile date with Cochran on TV. Did she ever admit that beforehand?
No, this was amazing about Debbie. We didn't know squat. Like, so when we saw the episode where it said next week there's a surprise, we all were going, what in the hell's that? We didn't even know we didn't even know it was coming. We go, what is that? We're seeing a boat. I'm like, the hell is this? It's like, well, okay, so we knew that she had gone to exile, and that's it. She didn't tell us anything when she came back. She didn't tell us squat. She basically said, I was out there, it was freaking raining, I was starving. It's like I had an option to get, rice or get this, note or whatever she told us, and that was it. She kept it silent in Ponderosa. She kept it silent for 8 months. She kept it silent all the way up until the episode. She told no one.
That's so much better that she kept it until the episode.
We texted back and forth, and we were guessing, and we would all text. We get into group text, right? 8 of us would be like, what do you think? What do you think? Do you know anything about this? I said, I don't know. I don't know nothing. She didn't say anything to me. And we were all guessing just as much. We were going through like the scenarios of like who it could be, what it could be. Some of us thought like, well, maybe one of the, people that went back to Ponderosa just came back to give her something, or what we thought. Maybe Malcolm's on the boat. We thought Poverty was on the boat. Mm-hmm. We thought Boston Rob. We thought, we were going through all kinds of crazy scenarios of like who could be on that boat. We didn't know what the boat was even for. We didn't know that the person was going to come on the ship and have lunch and give her the clues and all that stuff. She was really good at keeping that secret.
Wow,
I don't know if the producers might have said like, listen, this will be great if you just keep it secret, just nothing. So, because in the Survivor world, it's hard to keep things secret. There's always some spoiler. There's something that happens. So, there's a lot of crew out there. Then there's us. It's like, and we're always told to, it's best to keep stuff quiet. And I'm pretty good about that, just because I think it's funner to watch the show if you don't know what's going on or no one really knows anything. But you just can't keep everybody silent. And that was amazing that kept silent. I just like, wow, crazy.
Good. That's incredible.
Never believed that she would have kept it quiet that long. Like never.
Yeah. The 8 month, the whole aftermath. That's what I'm impressed with, because I would have just blabbed after that part.
I was so like, oh my God, I'm glad that wasn't me. Jesus, I don't want to go to some freaking, exile. And geez, that would suck. Because then you're out of the loop, and then you're stuck out there for 3 days, and then in hindsight, I'm thinking, damn, got that boat. I would have been doing full on backflips off that thing. Buck naked, man. Fuzzy squares, baby.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well, I got one more question for you, and
Okay.
it doesn't have to do with game changers. But I never thought I'd actually get to be able to ask anybody from One World this question, so I got to ask you.
Ooh.
How did Colton convince all of you to go to tribal council when you didn't have to go to tribal council to vote out Bill?
Well, it wasn't really that Colton convinced us. It was more as this. There was still all guys tribe. There was 5 of us in an alliance, and I had made that alliance.
Mm-hmm.
People think somehow like Colton made it. I talked to Jonas instantly on day 1, and I went right to Troyzan. And I said, we got to get 2 other guys. I didn't want to go with all the young bucks because I knew they were going to gather together. So then we talked to Leaf, and then Colton, then he told us about his idol. I'm like, okay, this solidifies it. The thing was that there was Big Mike, Tall Mike. There was Matt, the lawyer. There was Jay Bird, the big, Studley Jay.
The guy who ruined your game.
Yeah, Kook. And then there was Bill, the African American. And so it's like, and Bill was never really with us. And the thing was, it was one of those things where Bill was one of those guys where he could lie like that. Like he was one of those where you come up onto him, and he can switch his story like that, and lie out. I was amazed by his storytelling, lying. I'm like, this guy's super dangerous. And it was one of those where, okay, we're going to vote him out eventually, or we're going to vote out one of those guys. So what's the difference between voting him out now or voting him out next time? It wasn't like all the guys were on the same page. It wasn't like we were just one happy group. There was only 5. It was in the guys' camp. It was like basically 5 against 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those things where it was like, I think, and Matt had already been voted out. So it was one of those where I didn't see what went back on when he approached Troyzan and me and said, like, we got to go to trial. We got to get rid of him now. But it was in my mind. I'm like, in my mind, it was like, what's the difference between him going now or going next week? It's not like he's going to be, in my alliance anyway. So, people, I think, get this thing of like, because they saw that the women were kind of all together one group, and it was like men versus women. For the guys, it was more like, we're going to get rid of him anyway. So why not just do it early? Who cares? And the thing was, I thought it wasn't going to happen because the producers said this has never happened. They're like, we don't even know what you guys are trying to do. And the only way it's going to happen is everybody agrees. Everybody has to agree. So I'm thinking, well, someone's going to say, no, I don't want to do that. Or someone feels unsafe, and then it won't happen. But it's again, one of those things where when you're doing a group thing and people are all voting, and the people that are in my alliance are all saying, yeah, I want to do it. And if I say, no, I don't want to do it, then what's it going to do to me?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about keeping a target off your back. And I wasn't going to go home, and I knew that person wasn't in my alliance. So I'm like, okay, let's go for it. And then again, I'm like, I'm going to be part of a tribal council that will always be remembered.
Yeah.
Not for a good thing. But the men were really never on the same page in that season.
Yeah, you could tell. I mean, that's like what happened post-merge. You could just tell the guys just couldn't get it together.
No.
Is there anyone from that season that you think should get another chance? I know we've seen Monica play again and Kat and, some of these people. Is there anybody from that season that you're like, wow, how have they not gotten to play again, or they would do so well if they got to?
Well, I don't know if Kim would do so well because I think she's thought of as such a really good player.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think people put Kim as, one of the better players, or at least if you're going to talk about men and women players, I don't know if I'm wrong, but they think of her as one of the better women winners.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
No question.
Which bodes well for me, because if I played with the best woman player and I lost to her, and then I played with Sarah, who's maybe considered now one of the best women, then that's not bad. I mean,
No, that's not bad.
that's like being Karl Malone, right?
You really do have to vote out all of the women, Troyzan. I know you said that you wanted to work with the women to like get rid of that shadow, but you got to get rid of them. They beat you.
I know. It's like, Jesus. Okay. So I mean, I think Chelsea. Chelsea's been up for playing. She was up for second chances, and she was actually up for this season. She was in the main 32 or whatever. So she's been real close, and she's been disappointing for her. So I know that they like her and they want her back, and I think she would do pretty well. Who else in that season? For some reason, I think that Matt would be good TV. I think he didn't get to play long enough in front of Matt the Rooster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, One World is a bad season. But I think we have, and I even talked to Lynn Spillman when I was in LA, and she goes, you guys have, we thought, at least going out, and I still think that you have one of the better casts as far as like just individual casts. Like,
for sure.
So, and we must have something because there's been 4 of us that have played now twice or 5.
Yeah. Yep. Is it? I think it's just 4.
4 of us. Yeah. So, and if one more player, that's 5. I mean, that's 5 out of a season. I mean, that's, So we had a lot of like goofy characters, but the season went wrong the second the guys moved down the beach and put their camp like 25 yards down the beach. They wanted us to camp like right next, they wanted a shelter here and a shelter here. And they wanted us to mix in between, and that would have been chaos and craziness and people hooking up, or who knows what would have happened. But that's what they want. That's what they want. That's what they wanted. And so the second we moved, it was like, oh no, it was like, that's the enemy. So don't even go near their camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Wow.
I've always wondered with that One World thing, what happened there. So thank you for telling me.
No worry. People have a lot of questions about One World.
Alexa, you got anything else? We're almost at 3 hours now. We're killing it with this time. This is the longest podcast we've ever done by a far.
Oh my God, people are going to be bored out of their minds. They're going to be like, Jesus, Troyzan guy.
We're all still blabbing at each other. No, I mean, I don't want to say I'm done because obviously I have a billion questions, but this has been so eye-opening. This has been insanely hilarious. This has been a ton of fun. So thank you so much for coming on with us.
Well, I had fun with you guys. You guys are my faves, so it's like I'll always, I'll have to come back at some point. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, heck yeah.
Absolutely. And last thing, Troyzan, before we let you go, would you play again?
I'd go tomorrow.
Okay,
yes.
that's all we wanted to hear. There you
That's
go.
what we want.
That's all we wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy Uncle
we'll
Troy.
broadcast that.
I gotta get hashtag crazy Uncle Troy.
You do.
Hashtag dicks versus kicks.
That one. We got a couple.
There you go. I'll let you do that, and I'll retweet it.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh man.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Troyzan. Everybody, yeah, thanks for coming on and taking the time and everything. We will be back. Alexa and I will be back Wednesday. We're doing a Survivor Guatemala rewatch. So anybody who wants to follow along, we're watching the first 3 episodes, and
That's a good one. I was a finalist for Guatemala.
Really?
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
Who do you think knocked you out for it? Who do you think knocked you out? Like, who do you think they kind of like were pairing you up with?
Probably what's his face, the quarterback.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Yeah,
Mhm.
but he was kind of a snoozer for me. Like when they picked him up, I was like, this guy. I go, I picked that Gary guy over me. What, are you kidding me? Like, oh, come on. I remember old Danny Boatwright in the finals. She like wearing her little tight red shorts around the gym, trying to walk in front of me. And then I'd be on a treadmill or something. She'd go right directly in front of me, like with her red shorts, like her little buns flipping. I'm like, she's playing the game. Oh my God, right now. Like,
She knows what she's doing.
yeah. I had a good time, you guys. I mean, 3 hours went actually fast. I thought like, okay, I'm going for an hour, but
No, it went fast. And, we always love hearing the behind the scenes stuff. So anytime we can get anybody to come on and talk, the more the better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I only wish the best of luck for you guys in your podcast.
Well, thanks, Troy. That means a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, guys.